Ladies, gentlemen, and Paladins fans all over the world, welcome back to the Paladins Premier League. I am Dolson. Alongside me on the desk to start off the day, Nick Pretty Hair Keogh. Nick, we have a very exciting day of Premier League action today, and I'm really excited about it. Really excited to get things underway.
A full plate for sure.
Full plate.
It's definitely one that you want to watch for because last week I think we saw, a good amount of, that week 2 feel, right? Teams are starting to scrim a little bit more. People have been here, getting settled, getting comfortable, and everyone's kind of just busting their ass. A lot of guys at the house, a lot of guys here in the studio who don't have the houses, who aren't fully moved in yet. But it's just so much scrimming, so much practicing, so much preparation for these matchups, unlike anything we've ever seen.
No, absolutely. I mean, we come in here, obviously,
they're
Monday,
in here longer
Tuesday.
than we are.
They're in here more often
day.
than we are. We'll take a quick look at the schedule for today to see which matchups we're going to look at. First off the board, we're going to have Virtus.Pro and Envy, so two teams. Envy, obviously, off to a really hot start. Virtus.Pro looking for their first win. Our second matchup of the day will be Renegades and NIP. And then tomorrow, the schedules are a little bit flipped. Renegades, Virtus.Pro, Ninjas in Pajamas versus Envy tomorrow as well. So some interesting games definitely this week. A lot of teams looking to solidify their place. Some teams looking to jump into that. Virtus.Pro, obviously, without a win, I think that would surprise people. They've only had one game, which, maybe not a huge sample size to go off of. But certainly a good block of 4 teams that will really be able to solidify and really show us kind of where they're at.
I'm really excited for it. We do have the standings ready for you guys to take a peek at. And talking about that one game that they have had, that's why I'm not super worried about them, right? They need to kind of just be above their standings position at the moment. There's a lot that still needs to settle out here. This is a 13-week phase. Most teams have already only played 1 or 2 games at this point. Virtus.Pro aren't worried about that. They're in the same position Kenga were in last week, where they are a relatively new team. They are extremely international. They have people from all over the world, probably arguably one of the most international teams alongside Kenga. So they haven't had the luxury of being able to scrim in the same geographic ping environments, things like that. Really, the time they needed was time here in Alpharetta. Time at the studio, time live with one another to continue to practice and improve. We saw the difference just a week made for Kenga Esports. So now it's time for Virtus.Pro to be under that microscope and to see what type of progress they've been able to make in the week.
And talking about VP, and you mentioned this just a minute ago, and they've been the ones that we've seen in here essentially every day of the past week, and we've seen them in here, we've seen them grinding. They've really not rested on their laurels. They understand that a lot of things kind of go into that initial first loss. You get some jet lag moving in. Lots of train. I mean, so some interesting things go into that. But they certainly have a roster that I think a lot of people will be excited about. One of the guys to kind of look at is Fasheko. I mean, he's a tried and true name, arguably one of the best players in the league. And certainly a guy that can make an impact.
And pretty much one of the most decorated members on this roster. Very, very kind of experienced at this point, despite only having a couple of years alongside Paladins. Whereas you look at a guy like Dosich, who's been here for so long. Fasheko has been at the top for much longer than anyone else on his teams. Obviously, like I said, very international squad. So having a couple of those Latin American players, it's just not like Fasheko has, had the pleasure of dealing with. He's been on Fnatic. He's been undefeated for a full PPL season. Granted, that didn't lead to a lot of LAN wins for this Fnatic team, but he knows what it is to win. He knows what it is to play from ahead, and he knows what it feels like, to have that confidence in yourself. This is a guy that, honestly, confidence has come to bite him in the ass more than not, because underestimating opponents, I think, just comes with being undefeated for so long in the region that was considered to be the best back then. Europe was just had that stigma that it was just superior to NA. So if this kid's 16, 17 years old, going undefeated in what the world believes is the premier region for Paladins, of course there's going to be a little bit of cockiness there.
Right, and I think that's some seniority that team will look to lean on, some experience that they'll look to gather as well. Another guy on their team, Hecate, again, another tried and true name. This guy loves to compete. You always see it. You see him on camera, loving life, doing big things. And another guy similarly to Fasheko, who you're going to look at to make a big difference in these games and really push VP forward, hopefully into their first win.
This is one of those hit scan players, and a lot of those hit scan players tend to be just a mechanical monster. I don't really know how much in-game leading he does. I know he gives a lot of hype. He brings a ton of energy, a little bit of a goofball as well. just a very fun dude to be around and have on the squad.
Certainly a fun guy, certainly somebody who's fun to talk to. We actually have a quick video interview with Hecate, so let's send it on down to that to hear his thoughts.
So definitely we have some issues right there, since, as you say, if we are on our homes and we are an international team and we want to actually practice, we have people from EU or from Latin America, so playing on NA or EU with high ping is going to be an issue. So the scrims are not, I mean, you can practice, but it's not going to be the same like everyone on the same place. But the language barrier isn't an issue right now, because after like 1-2 months talking each other in English, you can properly comp, you know? It's always the same, so you don't need like actually extremely good English or whatever it is to get good comps. It's just getting used to a new roster. So it's only that. I mean, we create a team because we think we have the potential to be like the #1 team on the PPL, to be honest. Like, I think all my teammates are actually extremely good players, or even the best on the roles. So we don't see any team here like we cannot win against them or whatever. Like, if you don't trust that your team can win the champions or the tournament, like, what are you playing? Like, I'm not going to play the game if I'm not willing to be the best team in the world. And if we talk about Envy, yes, we have respect for them because they are, I don't know, the best team right now. But we truly believe that we can beat them anytime. Like, I trust on my teammates, I trust on myself, and the more time that we are together, we're improving a lot. So yeah, I mean, if we talk about Envy, everyone knows that they have excellent players on every of the roles. Maybe some weakness that we can exploit that I wouldn't like not to talk about them. But in my perspective, all I have to do is deal with Rock Monkey, because he's playing my same role, and I think if I beat Rock Monkey on, I don't know, on the Bamboo ones, or when you pick a sniper map or whatever, like, I think I can handle that, and I can keep my team that space that they need to win against Envy. But besides that, we don't have a specific strategy against them, because everyone from them, they are a threat, but at the same time, we are on the same level. So I think they actually are really good. Like, all of the players has tons of experience on this game. The player that proved that is extremely good at the PPO is Alex, and I have a lot of respect for him and every one of them. And I think like they are a top contender for these tournaments for sure. So probably they're going to do pretty well, that's for sure. Not to be honest, because we have the same experience at Lance, like Bert, me, those subs, Pusheko, so we are all experienced players at LAN. The only thing that I could say about NIP, they are a new team like us, basically. So I'm not saying it's going to be easier or harder. We don't have a specific strategy against them, but we treat them like I'm going to treat any single team on this tournament, you know? Yeah. It's the same for everyone. I would not say 4-0 because I respect them and they definitely could win some maps against us, but definitely we can go like a 4-2 against them. I'm pretty sure.
Thanks to Hecate for sitting down with us and talking through some of his thoughts, some of the struggles that they faced, how they're going to come over that. But one thing that he talked about towards the butt end of that is having to face Envy here this week, and that's the other, obviously the other team on the side of this matchup. And they have a stacked lineup as well, and I think that's an understatement. You know, one of the main guys to look at is Rubu. We see his ruckus clips week after week, and certainly a guy who you have to look at, somebody you have to be scared of, but somebody who is really good in his role and somebody who helps lead this Envy team.
That's part of what makes Envy such a great roster, and that's part of what the requirement is becoming. You need guys like Rubu in Rubu's position. You need your Toki, your Rock, your Mr. Hayes, your Random Noob. You need the whole package at this point. You will not compete unless all 5 guys show up to play today. Rubu is he is the world's MVP right now. He is that frontline guy that you just can't help but talk about. He's making such an impact on these plays, and that's what it takes when you're a frontline player. Everybody loves to watch them damage players play. Everybody loves to watch triple kills, whatever. But sometimes it just comes down to a frontliner is so in the mix. He is taking over and shaping these fights in such a way that you can't help but talk about them, and that is what makes a frontliner truly great.
It's tough, even beyond the game itself. I mean, Rubu makes an impact in each and every game that he plays. looking straight into the camera, looking into our souls here today. Obviously, he's feeling good, looking good. And then on the other side, and Hecate mentioned this in his interview as well, he's going head-to-head with a guy like Rock Monkey, who is, again, arguably one of the best in the world at his position, and a guy that you can never underestimate. He can play Leon, he plays Knessa, you see him here, and he plays them all so well. And it's just so hard to play against.
Definitely, and while we were over at the MB house celebrating Ruby's birthday, I did manage to kill Rock one time in an Andro 1v1. Right. So I can confirm that Rock Monkey does in fact bleed, and you can kill him in game, and it is something that can be accomplished. It ain't easy. I'm not going to tell you how many times I died trying to get that one kill. But it can happen, and I think Hecate is much more suited for the job than myself. I think when you look at, he mentioned sniper maps, a lot of that is going to be a very mechanical matchup between Hecate and Rock Monkey. That's the glory and the fun of watching a sniper versus sniper map like a Frog or maybe even a Splitstone. And some of these guys, especially Hecate, like to get a little weird with their sniper picks. We might see it on Bright Marsh if it allows for it, but these guys love that chance to kind of really mechanically, almost in the vacuum, take that 1v1. And the sniper matchup, it's one of the few true vacuum matchups you get to watch in a team game like Paladins. Most of the time, especially in this level, in this environment, you are not going to get the chance for a clean 1v1.
Right. Well, top to bottom, that roster's everyone needs something you have to consider. But their coach, though, the guy who puts it all together, Meta Pusher, we have him standing by for an interview to hear his thoughts before this matchup.
Well, I'm here with Meta Pusher from Envy, and I was actually, hanging out with you guys. Like, it seemed very jovial, and then almost immediately everybody went into game time mode. So I guess, what's kind of the feeling for your team going into this set?
I think we're just ready to take care of business. We had a little bit of an off week last week where we didn't get to play, so we're excited to get back into the action and really show why we're a top team.
And you're right now the only team that's undefeated. Do you think Virtus.Pro is going to be changing that? I mean, you guys have been obviously world champions. You're coming in still looking fresh. Is there a big threat coming from the other team, or are you thinking that you're still on top?
I think we're still on top, but we're definitely not underestimating them. They have a lot of good players, people we faced on various iterations of other teams, and so we're excited to see what they have, when they put all those ingredients together.
So one of the big things for your team has been Rock Monkey's aim. Obviously, everybody works together, kind of give him that positioning to make sure he finds those shots. But now he's going up against Hecate, who's going to be hitting just as many, if not maybe a little more, depending on the scenario for the shots. How do you think that matchup's going to fare?
I think that matchup's in our favor in almost every situation, but even just past the Hecate versus Rock thing, I think we kind of outmatched them in the other 4 slots as well. So it's not just the 1v1, it's a 5v5.
Well, you heard it here first. Envy's ready, so let's get back to the desk and kick off the games.
Thank you, Gore. Thank you, Meta. Obviously feeling very confident in their team, but we've heard it kind of from both sides. Obviously, both teams feeling confident, neither team underestimating one another. What do you see here on paper at a high level?
I think at a high level, you have to look at historically, MB has been the better performing roster than the sum of the parts of what Virtus.Pro is. But again, the biggest thing that I'm looking for today is what type of improvement have Virtus.Pro seen in this hard week of practice. They've been here almost all day, every day at the studio, grinding, scrimming, playing with each other. That made such a marked improvement for Kanga Esports from weeks 1 to weeks 2. I'm very, very curious to see what type of leap that Virtus.Pro have made. And Envy, like they said, haven't played a game in a week. They had a bye week last week. So is that going to slow them down? Is there going to be any rust on the joints? Is that going to be a slow start for Envy today? Is that something that Virtus.Pro can look to capitalize on going into the first map, which is going to be Splitstone Quarry?
Splitstone Quarry it is. And definitely, I like the way you put that. I mean, I like to use this term like question marks, sort of things that could potentially affect how the game goes. And actually today, our entire roster of 4 teams that are playing today all have been off for a week. So I'm interested to see kind of how they prepared, how they get ready for a matchup like this, especially Virtus.Pro. And we touched on this, that they've been in here every single day. They're not taking Envy lightly. Envy certainly aren't taking Virtus.Pro lightly. Bans, though, starting to come out here for game number 1. Ash, Torvald, Makoa, going to be your first 3. Pretty standard as far as that goes. Do you expect to see anything interesting pick-wise? I think Envy's a team that's very tried and true. They have their picks. Nothing too crazy.
Didn't see
right
that
off
coming.
the bat, Bomb King.
Yeah, Bomb King isn't the biggest deal for Envy. It's something they absolutely can run. Random hasn't played a ton of it. It has been a little bit more of the Eevee show for him. Fasheko, though, that is the guy to play the king.
Guy you have to watch.
Also looking out for Genos today. That's the biggest thing. The rise of Genos and the fall of Grover. Grover seeing a little bit of a hit, I believe, to the duration of his root. So that's going to be a big thing to look at. But for me, that wasn't a big part of his success before. The success came through the healing. And again, I've always been saying this. I don't know why Grover's banned so much. Why is he so banned so much? He's rarely ever the impact, the guy that swings the game in their favor. Now he's been open for 3 picks. This will be the 4th pick that VP just kind of pass on it. And I don't know if I would be surprised.
They are going to take Barrack, so at least not Grover for the moment. But you always kind of mention this. I mean, Grover has a very specific play style around him in the sense
he's very
that
good in his situation.
Right. So it really depends on what team comp you're trying to build around here. Cassie and Barrett coming out, so Grover still not on the board just yet. Can't imagine him going over to Envy with that Genos. But now they kind of have some room to play here. They're going to bring out the Leon, give that to Rock Monkey, as well as a Nara. So leaving that final pick open for a little bit of a flex, depending on what Virtus.Pro's final 2 picks are. I like Envy's first 4, though. I like Virtus.Pro's first 3. But I think these last 2 kind of make or break the Virtus.Pro draft.
I think the one thing that VP have going for them right now is Genos isn't the best healer to kind of pair with Nara to keep her ahead of the game. So a Nara isn't going to be as hard of a win condition as it has been in times past. I think that's kind of universally true. Pip is going to be able to Evo Mojo a Nara out of her CC immunity on Earth and Guard, things like that. I still do feel good about this Envy lineup, especially with the opportunity to pick something maybe like an Eevee as the last selection here. They have a very good, and again, it's not 3 DPS, but when you're looking at a hybrid tank like Ruckus, more or less counted as a 3 DPS style of composition. Ruckus is going to be looking to do much more damage than he is control the objective.
And it's interesting, Gore and I touched on this on the desk yesterday. Depending on how you build Genos, you can potentially get those astral marks on 3 of your teammates if the cooldown reduction is just high enough. But looking at both sides, do you like one more on paper than the other?
Envy, but only slightly. I really do like the Bomb King Cassie combination for VP. I think it comes down to a lot of how this Barrack plays the point, and can he stand up to Inara. I think he'll actually have a better time. Right, Maldamba is going to be so much more throughput for Barrack, and he's going to be doing a decent amount of damage, but it's all about that balance. I think both of the backline is very, very strong, and it will be kind of decided by this Barrack's performance.
I think the matchup to kind of watch is how Random Noob on that Eevee can make life hard for Virtus.Pro, but game 1 is about to get underway. 5 champions locked in for both teams. Envy looking to go 3-0. Virtus.Pro looking for their first win. Let's send it down to the casters to get it started.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Nick. It's time to get going here, and we have a very interesting lineup. 2 great teams. One on the brink of going winless so far in the PPL, and they need to change that immediately. And then one, our world champion trying to defend the title and keep their win streak going. How do you feel about the drafts?
Honestly, this is one of the weird scenarios where I think both teams actually got exactly what they wanted.
It's kind of weird.
And like normally you never get to see that level of comfort. Hecate is maybe the only one that I would say is partially off, but they grabbed that Cassie pretty early on, and that's something we were talking about 2 weeks ago, was he needs this to be comfortable, he needs this to be up there with every other, his Leon, with his snipers. He needs to be able to play it at that level.
Oh my god, look at Hecate, look at the pressure. Random Noob and Rubu rotated so quickly on the Eevee and the Ruckus. They've completely dominated the high ground. This is very important. He gets a nice dash there as well. Hecate with 544. And so far, Joseph is holding down that front line, but they're going to have to back off. This has been Envy corralling Virtus.Pro to start out. Finally, some big game damage, and Rubu is taking a lot himself, so Random Noob isolated. It's really just a duel, and he takes Joseph down as he's running away.
But still, always ever present. They're looking for Hecate, and I actually got to talk to them. That was one of the questions I had. It's Rock Monkey versus Hecate. You have great aim on both sides. How do you deal with it? And apparently it's just going to be lock him down, make sure he can't stand anywhere comfortable, and constantly keep this Cassie kind of pushed back into a wall or into a corner where she can't do anything.
And it's really the pressure too, Gore, and that's the thing that they need to figure out. Beautiful shots by Fasheko, and this could be bad for Tolkien. He knows that they're also clumped up. This could be so much damage, but he can't get it off because still there's a line of sight from Rock Monkey under the ground. Hecate Hekate again, choosing to fight instead of roll off this time around, but Rock Monkey cleans him up. No pressure has been put onto Envy. It's all been Envy putting it onto Virtus.Pro.
And this is, again, like you said, the perfect word, corralling them together. Enlightenment not going to connect right there, but Rock Monkey still feeling confident in this matchup.
Wow.
Going to be able to take down Fish Echo, and it's still 99% for Envy. They just push Virtus.Pro out the entire time.
Envy are looking so good. And Virtus.Pro started off, and I mean, to be honest, the fact that they kept that fight going for a long time impresses me, and I say this is going to be a set today. And I hope that I'm not proven wrong here. But Envy, they just have the pace, they have the timing. Part of what they've seemingly really focused on is really pushing with Rubu and Random Noob, and they're kind of like back and forth on a teeter-totter, so to speak, back at the playground. When one goes up, the other goes down. Very hard to find both of them.
It kind of felt, I want to just say akin to like when you pick a fight with somebody and then it turns out that guy has 3 black belts,
Yeah, exactly.
he's super ripped, like you're looking to push him back and you kind of get aggressive, like you give him a little shove.
what are you going to do about it?
And then the
He goes,
guy
"Hi-ya!"
lifts you up and throws you and you're just like, okay, well, you know
wow,
what,
I
I'll just
shouldn't
have to
said
deal
that.
with this.
Yeah. And you know, the old karate in the back pocket, that's always a nice little move to bring out for. You and me take some karate classes, huh? Make sure nobody messes with us.
The secret black belts.
The secret black belts here.
I've seen your high kick. I know you can hit it.
Hey, man. Black guy with a black belt, I mean, that's a strong combo right there. Nobody wants to mess with that. I'll start adding that as soon as we finish this Paladins game, though, for sure. 1 minute, 17 seconds. And as we continue, Envy just seemed to have found such a rhythm of pressuring out Virtus.Pro that I don't know if they've really stabilized yet and been able to kind of counterattack.
So this is actually, I think, a perfect example of what it means to play like as a team as opposed to clustered up. Like you can group up, but Envy is grouped up while separated, right?
Yeah.
They have members literally just leagues apart from each other, but they're still working together. And Random Noob can be on the other side. He could be right outside of Virtus.Pro's base, but he still has the support from his team. The way they are going in, the way they're corralling Virtus.Pro, this is literally just textbook.
But you know what? It's amazing that, you know, Virtus.Pro are still holding ults. It's very clear that they were holding ults. They have all 5. They were very conscious about how they defended. They had a couple of moments. Dosip survives way longer than he has any right to under this immense pressure. But Leon used the Enlightenment. Mr. Hayes uses the Through Time and Space. Random Noob, he uses the Ice Storm.
True.
A lot of resources now looking good for Virtus.Pro. We talk about this often.
Yeah.
They're kind of using the combat mechanic to their favor.
And with a Hexafire, a Seismic Crash on the other side, Envy have potential. If they can corral Virtus.Pro the same way, then 3 members, 4 members in one area, Seismic Crash gets a 4-man stun, Hexafire gets a 4-man kill, Rubu gets to add another one of those onto his highlight clip. But that's such a specific scenario, and
really
everything has to go right at the initial engagement. Whereas Dread Serpent peels that, and Mortal just immunes that. You have to worry about this if you're Envy. This is looking like a good point fight for Virtus.Pro.
Very different decision, though. They basically stop that flank. Random Noob cannot stay on the mount and get up that quickly. But the timing of it is just win, right? He gets blown up, 250 health, and now he's got to wait. He's out of the fight, essentially. But what are Virtus.Pro going to do? They wait for the Mr. Hayes heal. He gets that extra little bonus damage as well, and it's starting to show up. The pressure is now being mounted, but Virtus.Pro taking a different approach. Seems like this one didn't quite get the job done either. Nice stun there as well, and that's going to end Puleuli. It's going to be a reset. I'm not sure if VP will have a chance to get back.
You know, they did stop Eevee. They stopped that flank. The problem was they completely seeded the left-hand side of the map from Envy's perspective, and Rock Monkey literally looped around the exact same way they wanted Random Noob to, and just applied the pressure, except this time it was Leon instead of Eevee. King Bomb's coming in.
I like it.
King Bomb's
too
late.
And this is a problem because Puleoli with the Immortal to try to save Fisheko was the one who would have had to touch. The speed from the BK ult wasn't enough to get there. And they use that Immortal and don't get the point. That is not what you want. Kolki also, he had the CC immunity, the defense ready to go. It wouldn't have really mattered. That was an attempt, but not what they wanted. And I'm wondering why that Dread Serpent wasn't used earlier from Vex as well, because that would have been a great moment to peel, maybe focus off on Random Noob, get somebody, and then maybe see if you can take the 4v5.
Try and lock down either the Eevee or the Leon, one of the two that's giving you trouble. You can't really hit the Genos, and you don't have enough damage, I think, in burst to get rid of Rubu fast enough. So if you get rid of one of those two, then it at least gives you the pressure to look at the other one. Unfortunately, right now, it feels like Virtus.Pro, I don't even want to say are flustered. They are playing at a actually very high level. It's just that Envy are so used to this that they recognize where they can be safe, where they're going to fall down. I just saw, you know, you have Dose-Ups as well as Ule chasing down Rubu. Rubu has like 200 health, and he's like, well, my shield's up in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
Come at me, like, go ahead. He dashes forward once, turn around, pop the shield, and then he's fighting again. It's just like, you can't fight into that when someone knows they're confident.
Well, the thing is play-wise as well. Look at that. Gets 800 damage across 2 people, so times it by 2. Rock Monkey absolutely on a rampage here. Vex the only one left. It looks like this could be a push and the end of the game, and it will. Through time and space just to seal the deal. He throws the microphone up, ready to talk to his mates, and drinks a little bit out of the water bottle. He's happy with that result.
And this was kind of what I got the feel, not only standing in the booth, again, these guys were, I mentioned it to you, but they were very jovial. They were playing around with each other. They were doing some 1v1s, kind of warming up. And then the minute they got pulled into the game, it was just silence, game time, right? And you talked to Meta Pusher about it, and he's just like, yeah, no, like, we know we can win. We know we're a great team. We're not going to underestimate them, but they're going to have to bring something fresh to, like, actually topple us.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned with the way that their body language is communicating, you know, defeat here. I know they lost, but there's still some games to go, and I think the way they at least tried to make an adjustment was positive. You know, in my opinion, it was a very positive look. And now just maybe waiting for the coach, maybe hearing some comms. There's definitely a lot of decisions to be made, but it seems like Virtus.Pro are open to making them. Can't wait to see Game 2 as we send it back to the desk to break down what just happened.
Thank you, guys, and what a way to start off the day here for NVA. Clean 4-0 on Splitstone Quarry, and we kind of touched on this in the picks and bans. Envy just got the lineup that they wanted, top to bottom. Everyone was on a comfortable champion, and it showed. I mean, top to bottom, they played that game perfectly, I think.
Definitely, and when you have a Genos comp like this where it can be, you know, it's that third fat DPS as well. So Rubu goes out there. He can kind of do whatever he wants. Random Noob gets complete map control, right? He's on the enemy high ground. Rubu's really controlling the high ground mid. And then Rock Monkey is sitting comfortably in the NV backline on the MB high ground. You know what I mean? At that point, all of Virtus.Pro are in one little spot. Rubu gets on top of him, starts dumping missiles down there. Random Noob starts blinking in and out. Clean little 1v1 here from Rock Monkey. Right. He ain't hating that. So it's just map control. It's just slowly tighten the noose, and map control that included Team Envy being control of the objective.
We saw it time and time again. Actually, this highlights a good example of it. All of Virtus.Pro stuck essentially in this mill during the point fights, and then Rock Monkey and Random Noob, you have Rock Monkey just standing back, pouring out damage, and then Random Noob blinking in, hitting a couple blast shots, and blinking right back out. They played that map perfectly. A clean 4-0 is going to be the way that they start. I think Virtus.Pro, I mean, you know, you've played one game, you lost it, then you had a week off. I think pacing for them, probably just general life pacing, is probably a little bit out of whack. You assume once they get more into the swing of things, once they get more on a regular schedule, things will start to come together for them. Certainly a team that you cannot count out whatsoever.
And it's tough to not draft a flank against a guy like Rock Monkey. When he's playing a Leon like that, it's like the further away he is, the safer he is, but he's also doing more damage the further away he is, and the only thing that would be slowing him down from wanting to play that way all the time is his aim, and if he's got aim that's clearly as crisp as it is right now, that's a tough thing to stop. That's a tall task to ask. And I'm not saying they need a flank every single time, but you got to really understand, I think, what happens when you just don't put any pressure on Rock. That whole game, he just doesn't have anyone in his face. I think he died one time, and that was probably on a payload offense. It's just tough, man. He's going to get in the swing of it.
Top to bottom, one death for everyone on the side of NV. So a little bit of heat check in the middle, but they persevered, cleaned it up 4-0. If you look at Virtus.Pro again, I mean, you brought it up. I mean, do you draft a flank against? I mean, is that the way that you break through such a strong lineup that
it's tough because Eevee's really kind of the one on Splitstone Quarry that people are going for these days. There's been a little bit of Xin, but even then, Xin is going to struggle to pressure out a high ground champion like Leon. And when your first pick is Bomb King, and your Bomb King player is also your Eevee player, as is the case with most teams, you very quickly eliminate yourself from the conversation of we're going to be picking up a flank on Splitstone.
Jaguar Falls is going to be map number 2 here. So that's really interesting that you bring that up. So, I mean, maybe obviously hindsight, is 2020, but in this case, do you maybe dislike the Bomb King first pick a little bit more, given kind of how we've talked? Does that show too much of your hand too early?
Bomb King first is not super common, despite how strong he is. If they did it on Splitstone, I really wouldn't be surprised to see them do it here on Jaguar Falls, and they aren't going to be first pick, but they could still grab it in their 1-2 phase. For Team Envy, though, they get rid of the Cassie, which tells me they're maybe sniffing around a Ruckus early. I know Dosups is going to like that. Puleule is going to like that.
Stay close and follow
you're talking about
my
Virtus.Pro. I was going to say, who on Envy can play Ruckus? Nobody's good at him on that team, except for Rubu. He's a casual Ruckus player. Ashe is going to be the one first taken off the board here. So they address some of their early tank needs. Certainly been one of the higher contested tank champions that we've seen, as well as Barrack. Those have kind of been the 1-2 with Inara being number 3. So an early Bomb King again here for Virtus.Pro, giving Fasheko another comfort pick. But now Envy kind of see the route that they're trying to go and have the chance to follow up with maybe some interesting picks on their side. But
or you die.
we always say this, if it ain't
middle ground.
broken, don't fix it, you know?
Genos
You get
might
the
be
Ashe, you
going
get the
here.
Leon, you get the Genos again. Another making of a similar lineup here for Envy.
So I think Barrack was, he's fine there. It's really a question of, do you want it or not? Clearly VP want it. Barrack is on the upswing right now. Would Bomb King have been taken there? And the reason I'm maybe questioning the Bomb King over the Xin there, or over the Genos, is because of Xin later on in the draft.
Right.
I think Xin is just as good with Luminary. I think he's very, very strong. It's a decent matchup to run into the Bomb King as well. So you take the Genos there instead of the King. Maybe Envy get the Bomb King. Maybe they do. That's okay, though. I think the Xin, especially with Fasheko, and I think even Hekate is frankly comfortable playing it, so they could have run something like a Drogo Xin as well.
Definitely.
There was maybe a little bit more opportunity. And that's what Genos is, man. He's just the opportunity for so much flexibility. It's the same thing with Torvald. You pick him up, and it's like, what the hell else do you want to pair? Pick something. It's going to work.
He fits into just so many lineups. I mean, you can really stick whoever with him. You can certainly put a Xin with him as well.
And now Envy are going to do it.
And now Envy, they're going to take it. And Nara's going to round out their lineup. So very similar looking lineup here for Envy. You replace the Eevee with the Xin, which is sort of the biggest change here, but maybe a lateral move. Hopefully in their eyes a lateral move, not necessarily up or down. Now Virtus.Pro looking for one more damage dealer. Tulki smiling, feeling good. Tyra's going to be it, and we've seen Tyra come out not necessarily to counter out Genos, but she kind of fills that same role when you choose Hunting Party.
It's just to have that damage amp right now. The Bomb King can swing hard enough to 2-tap Leon, to 2-tap Xin if he doesn't have cooldowns. Also, spotting out the flanks from Xin is going to be very important, so that vision is a big part of it. We talk a lot about damage amp, but you can't forget about the vision that the constant 2-mark Hunting Party is going to bring. That's very, very important and a big part of Tyra as well.
They also steal away the Ruckus, so not giving Rubu his ultimate comfort champion on the side of NV, but I like both drafts here. I think Virtus.Pro have changed things up a little bit in a good way. I think they've kind of understood. They're like, now we get some of the buffing on our side, we get some of the Hunting Party buffs and all that sort of stuff. So I think Virtus.Pro put themselves in a good spot here for Game 2. NV, certainly nobody that you can count out at all. Game 2 is about to get underway here. Envy looking to make it 2-0. Virtus.Pro looking to snag their first win in this series, and their first win in the Premier League. But to tell us about Jaguar Falls, here's Evan and Gore.
Well, let me tell you about Jaguar Falls.
Named aptly because Jaguars just kept falling off of the cliffside.
We couldn't understand why.
Not really about the waterfall.
Nope.
That just happened to be a happy coincidence.
Very ravenous as well. Killed a lot of people. But I guess that's really the story. Once we got them cleared out, we just called the thing Jaguar Falls.
Very scary, similar naming to Serpent Beach.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to swim there.
You can understand, yeah. With the name, you understood what happened to make us, name it that way as well. Nice little Hunting Party switch up, but there's so much damage coming through. I don't know if I appreciate the setup here from Dosups, because I think that the one thing they have to do is outpace the Inara. She's going to stand on that point. If you give Envy that ability to then move forward into your backline easier, which has happened now, it's going to be a very hard thing to fight against. But the wall goes up, 24% and counting. Fish needs to make this count. But everyone on Envy so patient, hiding behind the corners, making them commit if they want to find kills.
And you can see Tulki, like, he gets kind of low, immediately falls back into a corner, waits till he's healed up. That time, though, he gets taken down. The pressure's on from Dosups, but maybe a little bit too late. Rubu gets rid of Hecate, which admittedly is probably a bigger target.
Yeah, and I think finding Tolki is big. That's a very, very big deal. But what you need to do is really take this win into something. What they've done so well on the side of Envy is they push at the same time, so they guarantee that they're getting kills, but then they keep the pace of this fight. Look at that, man. Battering Ram Ash. Pulele wants this kill. He knows he has to get it. Fasheko's going to grab it. Virtus.Pro answering back here. But does it mean anything? Another wall, 57%. Envy have just rotated, meanwhile, and still have what they came for.
Unfortunately for Tolki right now, pretty much isolated on his own. Inara can stand for a long time, but when you're under the brunt of 4 or 5 members' damage, it's not the best. Enlightenment going to be used just to try and go through, and he actually gets the kill there?
Yeah, Mr. Hayes was there as well. They both contributed to the damage. They're just so good. They're not necessarily outplaying or outmaneuvering, but they're just doing it so well from a team-wide perspective that it's impossible to find anyone isolated. Mr. Hayes is here with the healing plus the extra damage. The Enlightenment buys him the time. It's just so good from Envy. Virtus.Pro are not playing bad. They're actually playing pretty dang well.
There's something that Tolki and Lazy are drinking. It's something in their water, something that they have
in the water
that just is giving them such apt skill on front lines. Right now, it's the Inara, not something that's too, I want to say, outlandish, but I'm actually looking more towards where Dozups is on this Barrack. Like, their Barrack, like Tolki and Lazy on Barrack, is different than literally any other player I've seen play the champion.
Yeah, I mean, Barrack definitely rises and falls in comfort, and it doesn't mean that Dozups is not comfortable. He's put more hours into this game than almost anyone, and a fantastic player has been doing it for years now. But there is a level, I think, of just the way that they're taking the fight, and that is something that you do see special about Lazy and Tolki and their commitment to it. Beautiful assert dominance into the Genos ult. This is something that is so important, combining those ults, getting big kills. Rubu somehow making it alive after all that, but I think they've done enough here, Gore. It seems like they will be able to push this in unless Fasheko can find a big kill in the backline onto Mr. Hayes.
And Mr. Hayes, right now, he's gotten 3 of the last kills being able to come through. Get rid of him, get rid of the damage amp, get rid of the healing for the Zanara. Force Envy to play it a little safer. You have a King Bomb, you have a ton of damage on the side of Virtus.Pro. That can never be underestimated. So once you get rid of the comfort that Envy have in that damage amp, it might fall apart. If they stay aggressive or as aggressive as they are when it's there, then they start to maybe falter.
And one of the things that I think they're so good at is this, right? The 2v1s, you know, and it's really easy to try to dive someone, but Rock Monkey is always going to get support when he's getting dove. One of the front lines or the support comes in and makes sure that he is healthy, and he's very non-committal in general. He finds damage and angles as they push it through. Rock Monkey with the final kill on that one. I think the way I would, and I want to levy this question to you, I would approach this fight whereas we need to start it versus finish it, right?
Yeah.
We need to be the ones who are essentially going after them because, you could see these matchups just really hurt for Hecate if he's the one who's getting shot first.
I bet the best way I can kind of word it is if you're looking at a chessboard, Envy are prepared for literally every scenario you're going to have. But if you can put yourself in an advantageous position first, that's going to be what it takes. They have to, like you said, they need to start the fight. They need to be ones initiating. You can't hesitate for a second and think, where are they going? What do we need to do? You just have to collapse in and hope that it works out for the best. Because, otherwise, you're just giving them, specifically Tolki, a lot of time on this objective where Envy's just going to be like, cool, we got 50%. What are you going to do?
I mean, and we talked a little bit about Doe, but he's picking up all these kills, man. He's the one who's getting all of them. Hecate Pulele, 0-7 combined on a Tyra and a Ruckus. That's not why you grab those champions, not to kill people, I tell you that. And so at this point, holding this left hand is now corralled Envy. What are they going to do? Dosup's on the point, but he's still losing out to the contest. Tolki makes it out safely. They know where he is. And here's a King Bomb as well. They're going aggressive, and now Rubu could fall, but no kills yet again. They let it slip. He's got to find it, but the battering ram is so good, and the shield as well. The min-max from Rubu, the pressure, the space created, and he's going to run into a Pulele who's going to meet the flat cannon and go back to base. Random Noob finds another gore, and the battering ram to try and finish it off. Nice stun, but I think this is a dead snake.
Wow, he actually, slither from one hell into another. Essentially, you go right in front of Mr.
Into the frying pan, right?
And so you're going to stay alive a little bit longer, Vex doing whatever he can. And I never like putting pressure on one person to win a team fight.
Yeah.
But I feel like that kind of falls onto Fasheko. That King Bomb, the stun comes through.
Good,
there just wasn't enough lockdown onto Rubu, and he wasn't able to get anything.
You got a shield, right? Okay, at this point, you try to min-max that. Now something has to happen. Firebomb's enough. I think at that point, you're going to see potential here. This is not over. Virtus.Pro, they missed it. They couldn't get him. Oh no, this is huge. Now they've got the Zen back. They've got the Luminary still. Mr. Hayes is so good at getting away, and this is really going to put a lot of pressure, but the spike misses. Fisheko could maybe get this one. He's waiting out, trying to plant some bombs for the counter to go away, and Random Noob now under pressure, but the pillow exists, and Dosips is fighting back on the point. Tolkien finds the big point frontliner, and it's going to be Envy who grab it yet again, but Virtus.Pro, man, giving it the old college try, aren't they?
I actually love that re-engage more than anything. The initial fight, there were a couple of slip-ups that really lose the fight for them, but that re-engage is, we're getting in here. We are causing trouble for Envy. We are making them feel the pressure. And then, unfortunately, you have to remember that Rock Monkey's on the team, and Rock Monkey, even under pressure, doesn't seem to care anymore.
Yeah, like Nick always says about him. I mean, he's got true game reform on right now, and the way he was taking those 1v1s with Fisheko, that's fine. But the BK, for me, is something that needs to overperform here, especially with the hunting party. There's a lot of missed opportunities to find kills, and I think the aggression is where he's maybe hesitating. But you have to pick this up. You have to go get kills on this. You're focusing on these targets who are so good at getting out. Rubu's min-maxing the shield, and now you trade 1-for-1. But oh my god, the double kill, the triple kill! Slide to the left. He's like Beyonce, throwing him out of the house, except this time Rock's throwing him back into base. Envy are looking good.
That's 2 in a row. Not like 2 kills in a row. That's 2 triple kills in a row for Rock Monkey. Like, that's the consistency he's having. And again, it comes down to whether or not this Bomb King can get as aggressive as it needs to. It's not finding these kills. There are so many times I look up at someone on Envy that are 1 hit away, 1 bomb away. And Fisheko either can't collapse on them or falls back too soon. And it just feels like it slips right through their hands.
I will say this. Mr. A's almost goes for the through-time in space, and that's one of the only mistakes I've seen Envy make because they just don't hit it. But I feel like it's just falling flat for me. BK's not doing enough. Tolkien with a double kill as well. I mean, it's hard. It's hard because you're going against the world champs. You're going against the best of the best. What else do you expect? I don't think Virtus.Pro said we definitely are going to win this one. But the problem is there are opportunities to improve, and they have to improve quickly as this is game 2. Already won another 4-0.
And you know, yesterday on Esports Weekly, we were actually talking about the fact that this isn't the matchup Virtus.Pro come into thinking we're going to win.
Exactly.
Right? This isn't we're going to 4-0. This is, at best, we find a 4-3, and that's assuming we are at peak form, everything's ready. This is the, even if we lose, tonight we go back, we watch the footage, we learn, and get whatever info we can, and then tomorrow we come in way better.
It's not big things separating them. I'm pretty excited for what I've seen with the comeback of VP. Let's send it to the desk as we get ready for game 3.
Thank you very much, Evan and Gore down there on the desk on the call for game number 2. Seemingly, a mirror image from game number 1. 8-0 in maps on the day, 2-0 in the series. Team Envy are firing on all cylinders right now. Rock Monkey, the casual 82,000 damage. Call it 20 and some change higher than everyone else, and the slash lines look much the same as game number 1. A couple more deaths on the side of Envy, but not many more.
The casual 10-3 on Anara, like that. Yeah. Always love to see that. What a contribution there from Tolkien, and I think it comes down to a lot of this was equal. A lot of the damage numbers were equal. A lot of the healing was pretty close. But I think it's just the nature of how easy it is for Luminary to be effective, right? For it to be so plug and play versus a hunting party Tyra, which is new to the scene, which is still being kind of figured out. What maps is good? What comps can we run this with? A lot of people, Tyra has never been a part of the meta.
Sure.
So it's not like an Androxus coming and going from a meta where he has great Andro players out there. There's always someone knowing how to play it, right? There aren't a lot of like Tyra mains out there, right? Phoenix is like one of the few. Watkins from the minor league is one of the few people who just want to run Tyra at all times. So that's still something I think a lot of teams are learning, right? And to have the harder to execute thing against the more favored team, you know what I mean? Envy have the easier damage control option. They're playing very well around it as well. Like how we always say, and Evan put it best, Genos is a guy that keeps you ahead in a fight. Envy are taking these fights quickly, and they're making sure that they don't get out-sustained, right? They're not taking their time with these fights. They're ending it quickly. Triple kill, triple kill. These are very, very quick. I love the assert dominance into the double time and space, too. That's just Envy operating on a level of coordination, of practice that people just aren't at yet.
I mean, talking about the Genos, and Virtus.Pro, both games, they take Bomb King first, they take Bomb King second in the last game. I mean, to counter that, do you potentially see Genos climbing up to that first round of picks? If you're on the side of Virtus.Pro and you're picking second, you have 2 picks to play with.
I'd be surprised if we didn't see a Genos ban at some point today.
Right. No, that's fair.
And it might be coming up on that time. If you aren't super comfortable taking a Tyra to like go damage amp for damage amp, and to be fair, Hunting Party is 5% more damage than in Luminary, I believe. So it comes with the territory of being harder in a way. But if you're not comfortable doing it, then a Genos ban or guaranteeing yourself a Genos pick could be the way for VP to go. But then at the same time, you have this. I have this feeling that MVR thinking about
They're
that.
even one step ahead of that.
If they get that Genos, we're going to be getting something even crazier.
Right.
That's just worth letting the guy go for.
Right. Meta's always tweeting about Genos. I mean, they have it figured out. I mean, he and the rest of the team, they understand what the difference makers are, what could happen.
And for me, it's interesting too, because Luminary's been Luminary for a long time at this point. It's really just, I believe it was a 10% base heal on Astromark that got changed to a 300 flat now.
Right.
And sometimes little changes like that are enough to get the people to try a character again. It's kind of like the case with Hunting Party. Little bumps to Hunting Party here and there and there. Finally, people try it and they go, wow, this is actually kind of nuts.
Actually pretty good.
And this probably has been nuts for a while, but if you just don't play the character that much, then it becomes a problem. Interesting bans here, though, with the ladies going and taking a seat here for VP.
So taking the Leon and Cassie,
they're going at
off
Rock.
the table. they're saying Rock Monkey, you're back-to-back triples. No more of those. But Rock Monkey's a guy who can
might not be the map for it.
Yeah, it's Frog Isle. Actually, that's very true. You look at the map as well. I mean, you can play Leon and Cassie essentially on any map. But was he going to play either of those two anyway? We don't know. Envy has their own game plan. But Virtus.Pro obviously thinking to try to get him a little uncomfortable, but also knowing they have first pick, they're going to leave something up for themselves, and it's going to be the Torvald in this case. The Khan, however, now is open on the side of Envy if they want to throw Rubu onto the Khan. Ruckus is available as well. So some interesting bans leaving a couple champions that normally aren't available on the table here.
So what do they want to run with it? What's the plan at this point? Envy have a lot of stuff open. They could go for an Ashe. Genos is still open. They could be looking at snipers, but with both of those still being open, I don't know if they'll be super excited at the opportunity to take that as early as they are hovering it. And it is going to be that, the Kinessa King. Double DPS lock-in for the first 2 picks. I don't know the last time I've seen that in a draft at the PPL level.
No, definitely not. I couldn't tell you either, but it's interesting actually looking at it. We've seen Bomb King picked first twice and then picked second. I mean, in the second pick, first and second, essentially first pick for the opposite team there. So Bomb King coming out each of our 3 games here in one of the first 3 picks. Now Torvald Genos is opened up as well as the Barrack on the side of Virtus.Pro. But this is interesting because, I mean, Envy realizes they're giving this away at this point. I mean, they could have picked the Genos if they wanted. They have a game plan in place, but Torvald Genos is still scary, still something that's tough to deal with.
I'm wondering what VP are looking to round this out with. Maybe one sniper here, and I have to imagine some type of flank. I wouldn't pick Drogos into Rock Monkey's Kinessa, but that's just me personally. But I just want to say, what a fun spot the meta is in right now.
Absolutely.
I feel like it is just every week, without even really a ton of balance changes coming in. It has been very, very kind of healthy and varied throughout the week.
Absolutely. And Torvald, Genos, Barrack, Strix, and Eevee.
We are strong.
It's a bit of a variation from the standard here. Strix and Eevee, pretty standard as far as Frog Isle goes, but Torvald coming out of Ban Prison, not something you see every day. So Virtus.Pro changing things up yet again, expanding out of the box a little bit, putting themselves in a position where they think they can succeed. Envy, though, answering back with a pretty decent lineup of their own.
Yeah, I think this one's on the back line of VP, right? You have all the damage imp, you have the bubbles. Fasheko, you need to kind of pop off and carry this game. So much of this composition has been picked around you doing so. Strix is going to have his damage amp. He'll be plugging away shots whenever he can, I'm sure. But the front line just won't have the same type of control that an R Fernando will from Envy, so it has to be one from the back line.
Well, there's a little bit of spiciness in game number 3. Both lineups a little bit interesting, and Frog Isle is where we're headed, and down to the casters we go.
Well, it'll be sniper versus sniper here, and if you were like me, I guess a few days ago you might have been lucky enough to browse on your streaming platform and see some guy named Rock Monkey streaming live on this map. He was actually having a little bit of practice going against one of the better aimers I've seen as well, Stigma, and it was a Kinessa 1v1. Very fun to watch. Stigma got him a few times, but Rock took the W in the end as far as the 1v1s. I wonder how Hecate and him will fare, as Rock already gets the first shot, but he gets shot back as well, so even there.
And the big thing to keep track of is the damage amp. One of the things Kinessa can do is hit you really hard because she kind of has it built into her talents or into her kit. But you have a Genos and a Dwarvald on the other side. A Strix with those is going to be chunking people. So these snipers are going to play a big role, but obviously you need the front lines to do something as well. It's 75% and rising for Envy. No one on Virtus.Pro is touched.
Oh, that hurt though. I don't know if that was a headshot or not. Hecate and Rock Monkey, a beautiful thing to watch and see. Trying to get the damage off. He might need a Luminary boost. He might need a Torvald bubble. He's taking a different angle to help on the point. Rock Monkey's going to be shifting soon. He's got to be careful and expecting that. Don't poke your head out. And there it is. They both whip. Really interesting dynamic here. So tense, but Tolkien finds those hips. Here's Visheko, though. What can he do? And now Rock Monkey's in trouble. A double kill from Fish. Looking to pop off here on the Eevee and start things going for VP.
And the Ice Block's going to come through. He's kind of locked down, but luckily Eevee has mobility. There's a shield, and he's just going to go right back in for it.
Little rocket jump, little heal, little bubble. He says, I'm going, and I'm not. He's juking him out left and right, but now Mr. Hayes has found enough. And was that overcommitting? Was this just too much by himself? I don't know. Might have bit off more than he could chew there, but Hecate still firing away, Gore.
Looking for the snipe on a Rock Monkey. He knows where the threat's going to be. Finds the one, but you can't finish him off like that. He just needs to clear off the front line. They have no support for right now, and that's going to be able to open it up. Virtus.Pro should be able to get this point as long as they can hold this zone just a little longer.
Oh my gosh, look at this. And I can't believe it. VP, turn it around. What a patient play. And when I say I can't believe it, I just can't believe that we're getting to watch such great aimers, you know, and competitors against one another. It's freaking fantastic. Beautiful shots there from Fish from downtown. And this is a totally different level of confidence, I think, from Virtus.Pro.
And honestly, I feel like there's part of it coming down to the fact that they get some picks that are definitely going to make them feel a lot more confident. But you're also getting to watch the thing that got me thinking about Hecate in the first place, right? And the thing that makes Rock Monkey so good, this is just aim versus aim, and I'm loving it.
And the angles, too. And it's really, that's what was so fun to watch it. I kind of got wrapped in it because there's all these little cheeky angles that as a sniper you play on this map, and especially against another sniper. It adds a whole nother layer of depth because you're trying to help with this point. And the big thing is that if Visheko can pop off and put pressure, win these duels against Random Noob, when that doesn't happen very often, get these bubbles and then pressure out Rock to add to Hecate, this is going to be a very tough matchup for Envy. And right now, Visheko is causing them trouble.
And this is the thing. Bomb King's been so heavily prioritized for Virtus.Pro that I expected way more out of the last two games, right, than what we saw. It wasn't as aggressive as I thought it was going to be. It didn't get anywhere near the amount of kills. It was staying afloat. It was even most of the time.
Oh, no.
But it never looked too solid. This is the Visheko we remember from last year. This is the Visheko who has the highlight reels on the blasters.
Don't do it to him, Fishy. Don't do it to him. Give him that Ice Storm. Just dial on him after the CC immunity. Let him know. But he's just going to back it off into the base. VP have a small ice commanding witch pushing 3 people back and clearing the space as the front line. This is Visheko at his true and greatest form.
And this is the best that I've seen Virtus.Pro. Not in the sense that the last 2 games were worse. They're still playing at that level. It's just now they're finally being able to work not only as a team, but they can showcase it, right? The last couple of games, it's been locked down. Somebody's been able to die or unfortunately got taken out too soon, and the fights never came through. If Visheko is firing off like this, the rest of the team is given, again, the room that you see, that you need to flourish.
And I mean, the thing is, he's so aggressive, and it's really working on this Eevee because he's getting bailed out, and you got to give a huge vote of confidence to Pulaule as well and how he's positioning, but he's two-shotting. Literally, with this 40% damage amp, he's two-shotting Kinessa, and this is so difficult. Starting out back on the point, it's 2-0 now, and Virtus.Pro just found another kill. This looks like one that may just have gotten away from them. Beautiful Ice Storm as well, but Rock Monkey finds the kill. He's taking a certain angle that makes it a little bit more difficult for him to match Hecate there, but there's the Hyper Beam. Is it going to get anybody? I have no idea if that threw anyone off the map, but it seems like they are all alive. Maybe just trying to get some peel for Puleule and his squad, but it is 66% for Virtus.Pro as of now.
The shot coming through. Hecate hits one, Rock Monkey misses, and that is the matchup that matters. I think both of these snipers know this map incredibly well. They know the angles where, yeah, there's a small window of opportunity, but they can find the hit they need to. As long as Rock Monkey charges these shots, it's going to give a little bit more of an advantage. Into with comeback mechanic, all they need is a little zone.
And that's the thing. They're so good at that. Great Poppy Bomb, just to guarantee it. And it's the world champs again, so you can't act like you've done it too well. And that's the thing. With this confidence, you may have to slow it down, especially if you start to get into a really good spot. Look at that. Rock Monkey and Random Noob combined take Fish out of the air. You just may have to realize you still have a pace to play at that needs to be a little bit more measured than just diving the back line.
And I think that's a good example of where Fish Echo's aggression, like we just saw round one, how it can work. That's how it can fail. And that is, if you're going against Bomb King, he has to hit 2 bombs. If you're going against Kanessa, she has to hit a shot and then a few to get the damage amp. But if they happen to both look at you at the same time, your life doesn't matter anymore. That 1800 health will not stay around forever. You have to find them kind of isolated and in these one-on-one scenarios.
And what's pretty amazing about this, and this is one of those things that, you know, he did that allowed him to be able to make an incredible kind of showcase that made me see his Frog Isle Eevee was phenomenal. And this was earlier in a couple of splits when the PPL started. He just actually carried Fnatic on this character. And it seems like he's very comfortable with doing it against anybody at any level. So I wonder how the Eevee will start to play as far as the draft in these final games coming up as well.
And I'm kind of curious, once he comes back and is able to come through, I mean, a lot of the Eevee loadouts usually are pretty standard, right? You're going to be running Flicker, #1, Teleport, Swift Witch. Killing Frost, though, running at level 3 right now, just having that cooldown of Soar up as much as he's having, along with like Cantrip, where 1 ammo never sounds like a lot, but when you think about how much damage this shot does from Fish Echo, this is clean. And as long as he's getting these killing blows, as long as he's able to kind of keep up his cooldown of Sword, his cooldown of Blink,
got him.
He's mobile.
I mean, and he's getting the right targets, right? Oh my God, Fishy! The triple kill, he gets the support, he takes the front line, and then he takes down the king, says, I'm the king of Frog Isle. I'm not just a little witch over here. Random Noob, let me add Rock Monkey to the list. Fish Echo is popping off, and Virtus.Pro look better than they ever have.
And this was one of the things, talking to Virtus.Pro weeks ago, right? Coming into the split, what were they looking at? They were looking at land performances. And Fish Echo has had admittedly 2 kinds of land performances. There has been what we saw in Game 1, and there's what we're seeing here in Game 3. Those are the 2 levels you will get out of him. And when he hits this stride, if they can keep this pressure up,
oh my God.
I actually am maybe a little scared for Envy.
And that was, I mean, I'm a little scared as well, but I just think Envy are so good. They're going to know how to handle this, but you may have to prioritize it in drafts now.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe the BK realizing that, like, what I've liked about Virtus.Pro is, you know, they did the first point where they lost 2 on Splitstone, and then they completely changed. They completely changed round 2. And even though it didn't work, they were willing to adjust. Here they go BK 2 games in a row, doesn't work. They're like, all right, we're going Eevee here. You know, and that's the important thing that Virtus.Pro are showing me, that their flexibility and their willingness to be, okay, we were wrong, let's do something right now. And it's really paying off. And you could tell this team with momentum, kind of scary.
Jeez. He's 16-8-0. No assists for the man. He's cleaning them all up himself. He's got the broom, so it kind of makes sense as he's coming through. But 3-1-11, 2-1-18, like it is Fish Echo's kills.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just helping him get there. And it's a little scary when you see that kind of performance because you never know if you can replicate it, but you're not going to discount it.
Well, the damage too, and I mean, from the Torvald, I mean, the damage is just insane, how hard he's hitting, and then he's able to, like, basically win this fight against Fernando by himself. This is a lot of aspects to it, right? How much is he contributing not only to the pressure of Rock Monkey, but he's doing it all. He's getting the support. He's finishing off the front lines, and now he got maybe a little too aggressive, Gore. This is what happened last time. Do you back off as Virtus.Pro here, or do you just basically say, let's keep going?
I think you hold on to what you can. You keep this Barrack dancing around on the point, try to get as much as you can, but the minute you have some pressure applied to you, like right here, you go actually the other way. I don't know what that dash was, but not where I wanted him to go.
I'm not sure what that was either. He did dash towards all of them. I thought, okay, Dome Shield maybe?
He dashed right on cue. It just wasn't the right direction.
Oh my goodness, long range, finding the damage, and again, comeback mechanic is here. There are 3 members who are very low, and Tolki is by himself on the point. Fish Echo has to make a play, and Virtus.Pro have to as well. He's going to touch just for the overtime, get a little rocket jump, essentially, as he boosts himself out of a position of maybe a headshot. And now it's time for him to try to go aggressive, and that's a beautiful shot from Hecate to set him up. They're all low, but the overtime is 99 for Envy.
Trying to do whatever they can. The shield goes up, but is it going to be enough? No,
See
the
ya!
hyper beam comes through. Pule with the kill right there. The damage is going to be onto Tolkien now, and this is Virtus.Pro taking back the point.
Oh my goodness gracious. Locked, loaded, and delivered. This is Fisheko like you've never seen him before. Double kill and Virtus.Pro. They clap back to the champions, all smiles as they win Game 3.
And that, it comes down to Fisheko, right? There's a lot of room being bought for them. They play the point fight the way they've been needing to these last couple of games. Hecate's hitting these shots, keeping Rock Monkey under wraps. That was all they had to do. Was
Insane.
Just make sure you have the checks and balances for Team Envy. Took them 2 games to figure out what they needed to keep them in check, but that was a step in the right direction. And if they can do it again, like they've already now beat expectations, I think, coming into the set.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Boys taking a little bit of a break as we get ready for the next game, which I think could be just as exciting.
Oh my, game number 3. And that is the Virtus.Pro you look to see. That is the Fisheko that you look to see. And what a treat getting to watch what just happened and Virtus.Pro bouncing back in such a big way.
Yeah, I mean, what a performance from him.
Yeah, wow.
But at the same time, realize this entire composition is dedicated to that, right?
Sure.
Imagine seeing an update show where in the patch notes it's Eevee now has 2,000 more health and does 45% more damage while receiving, 260 health per second. You'd be pretty pissed if you saw that in the patch notes. So the entire comp is designed for him to get so much more aggression and just literally like turn his brain off and just keep attacking and attacking and attacking. Hecate gets even more damage out there on the field than I think we could have reasonably asked or expected from him. Great stuff from him, 21-9. That's what the comp is supposed to do. That's exactly what this comp was supposed to do for Virtus.Pro. Fisheko does a great job executing it, playing very, very awesome. It's cool watching those like small little adjustments in the loadout as well. The Killing Frost 3 is just because he's going to be so aggressive all game long. He's going to get those resets, and that's why that's not a card you see too often at a high level, because you can't really be this aggressive if you don't have Torb Genos behind you.
Well, they called his name, and he came out and hit a home run in a big way. I think they needed that one. If you go down 3-0 to Envy. The games follow the same script as the first 2. I think that's tough to come back from. So I think that's a moral victory as well as keeping yourself in this series. Virtus.Pro did it in a really big way, and Hecate as well. Always a guy that you kind of see. I mean, like you said, that lineup was really built around Fisheko and doing really well on the Eevee, but Hecate played on Strix, always a presence that you have to look out for. 112,000 damage. He only had 4 kills, but the rest go into the assists where he helped out Fisheko finish off the kills. And always a happy, calming presence for his team. So Hecate, always a guy you have to look out for. And now the question is, how does Envy bounce back? We saw him drop a couple maps, 1 or 2 maps against Na'Vi in week 1, but nothing quite as heavily as that.
This is a good time to highlight how important it is to play with pressure. Like what pressure can do to a team, even a team like Envy, when there is so much coming at you all at once. You just can't communicate it all to each other effectively, right? You can't just adjust fast enough. Not everyone can be on the same page. When you're controlling the pace and the aggression and the way the map is controlled and being played and pushed around, it's so much easier because you're making all the decisions. You're not reacting, right? You don't have to wait for a bad thing to happen to you, process it, react, figure out what you want to do, communicate that, and then, it actually comes together and that happens. At that point, the team that's getting aggressive has, they've shot you 2 more times. They've made another weird, wacky rotation, taken a different angle. So again, look at the difference that Team Envy even look like. It's like any team can fall if they have so much pressure put on them versus Splitstone Quarry when Rock Monkey doesn't have anyone within 150 yards of him and he's just continuously putting out this damage on Leon. It's like you got to find a way to make people uncomfortable. If you let these professional teams just sit there and shoot fish in a barrel all day, you'll never win.
Fish being the one shooting the fish in the barrel that time, though.
Unintended.
But Envy, I mean, I say let's see how they bounce back. I mean, they're a very mentally tough team. They've faced a lot of tough matchups in their time here in the PPL, so certainly not the first time they've taken a loss. They are going to switch things up a little bit, though. They're going to keep the Cassie ban. They're going to ban out the Torvald, though. The Torvald Genos stack maybe a little bit too much coming out from Virtus.Pro, but really, on a grand scheme of the game's kind of scale, you see how much those two champions make an impact. Whoever gets the Genos at a minimum obviously has a little bit of an edge. I mean, that's just pure flat more damage that the marked target is doing. So I think that's something to take away from here, where Envy was kind of okay, honestly, letting the Genos go after the Torvald had already been picked. Maybe switching things up here. At least initially they are. They're going to take away the Torvald. They're going to pick Ashe, though. Now Virtus.Pro with 2 picks to kind of show their hand and see which direction they're going.
And so much
Genos
open right now. Leon, Bomb King.
The next
Big
time
stuff.
you see my
there you go.
banners,
It's a good
run.
thing to, I think, take away from Rock. He's been too comfortable on that, especially when, like, you play it twice, win hard, have to play something else, lose hard. You want to get right back on that Leon. You want to just be like, all right, yeah, screw this. I just want to go back to playing Leon here. He's going to stay uncomfortable in this instance. They still have a good opportunity if Bomb King gets picked up here. You can run Zen on this map with Genos. And, I mean, Envy just did it on Jaguar Falls and showed us that it is still super effective composition, or a little kind of duo queue, so to speak. To run. I don't know if they'll go for the Eevee. Again, Eevee doesn't get picked a ton here on Ascension Peak, but to be fair, Ascension Peak hasn't been picked a whole lot in the past for reasons that we've stated earlier. But a big thing to look out for is what is Fisheko going to play alongside this Genos. And can he make the adjustment from blind aggression to smart aggression with not having a Torvald this time?
And we touched on this, I guess, after Game 1 or Game 2. Is Genos eventually going to be first pick worthy if he's not banned out? And he is first picked here. So it's kind of funny seeing something else take the spotlight, at least for a moment. Genos Leon, though, very strong stack. But Ashe and Barrack and the Damba as well. I mean, those are two of the highest priority tanks, one of the highest priority healers. So they get a good bit for their first 3 picks as well on the side of NB. Fernando and Nara are going to be Virtus.Pro's picks, leaving their final pick. Could it be the Eevee? Could it be the Bomb King is still up on the board. Still a lot to play with for Virtus.Pro. Envy have to show the rest of their hand, and Virtus.Pro will be able to answer. And they have 2 damage dealers to pick here.
Curious they don't go for something maybe like a Ruckus for VP. If they're looking to set up maybe a combo, whether it's like a Dragon Punch Immortal or a King Bomb Immortal, that's a very potent win condition that can also guarantee the follow-up aggression of that character. But the Drogos is going to come through for Envy. Good answers for VP. Shaolin has been picked up a decent amount, but has not been super effective. So that's a big one, a big ask of Rock Monkey to step up to the plate in this instance. And it all comes down to what is Fishy going to play.
Was it Rock Monkey who was, I think, one of their sets last week? Rock Monkey got put on the Shaolin a couple times, and he made it work. I think the majority of that 40% win rate actually comes from Rock Monkey playing
I really
the
wouldn't mind Bomb King here, man. I think Poppy Bomb, you can get Ashe out of her dominance. You can blast Barrack out of his Dome Shield. Little things like that I think are very effective. But Zen is going to be a bit of a more aggressive choice here, and the guy to keep that pressure on. When pressure has been a very important thing in this set.
I mean, the question is Genos strong enough right now that it's almost like an insta-win for whatever team plays him? Obviously, you can't say yeah. I mean, it's not a blanket yes, but is
hasn't lost this set, yes.
Is it enough? Is it enough to tip the scales here? Virtus.Pro, very strong lineup, pairing that Genos with some very strong damage dealers. But Envy, they have a pretty well-rounded, complete lineup as well.
Definitely. It's good picks, I think, from both sides. At the end of the day, Zen or Bomb King, I think, would have been a good choice here. What Zen brings to the table is just being able to get in the faces. Be more consistent, probably against this Drogos in the sky as well. Bomb King can struggle to hit those autos up in the air. Shaolin is the big question mark, man. Does he perform for Team Envy? That's my biggest wonder going into Game 4.
Nick's got some questions that Envy needs to answer. Virtus.Pro coming into map number 4 with the momentum. To take us through it, let's send it down to Evan and Gore.
Well, Ascension Peak, it's a treat to watch, and it'll give us a very good idea of how Virtus.Pro can adapt with an even more unique lineup here. Now with Fisheko off the Eevee onto the Zen, even with the option to go BK or Eevee here.
Yeah, and this isn't going to be one of those maps that I like the way Nick framed Bomb King, I think Bomb King would be an equally good pick here, but I think Zen kind of gives him that comfort zone to play similar to how he just played Eevee, where it's just sometimes you got a W key at the enemy, and Zen's going to be the one that lets him get out the most in those scenarios.
Wow, Akate already killing Tolki. Oh my lord, that is not what they expected. And this is going to force Envy all the way back, and now Pacheco can get aggressive the way he wants. There's no way to stop this. This is Virtus.Pro dominating right now. They've got to try to hold on. Random Noob is trying to get away, and beautiful heal from Mr. Hayes. Got to shout that out, keeping him alive. Now he's got a salvo ready. And 60% for VP, though. They're still happy with what went down.
I mean, this is going to be a draft from Envy that I think has a lot of potential behind it, but
wow.
I mean, you have to deal with this. This is what you're looking to go against. Rock Monkey going to be taking him down. I honestly think Pacheco could have taken the Rock Monkey boxing match. No one else on Envy was looking at it.
I mean, they were going to turn and look, so he basically has, I think, been... My opinion is that with Virtus.Pro taking this first objective, they're learning so well. And part of it is they're over-learning, right? Because Envy's very flexible. They'll do different things. Doe knows he's like, all right, I'm over. Let's just reset. But every single time they've aggressed, we talked about this. When you go on a Rock Monkey, 2 to 3 people show up on Envy. It's either the support or it's the other frontline in Rubu. So he was expecting that. Turned the counter away to them. Didn't think Rock Monkey had the gall to poke back out with about 5 health to his name and finish off. But he must be learning a few things about Rock. He'll take that battle anytime.
I mean, wasn't it? I can't remember if it was Rock Monkey, but we've seen in the last week a player on a Kinessa just taking Enlightenment to the face. I think it was Rock Monkey taking Enlightenment to the face just to get the damage off that they're going to. And again, this pressure, this is what won them last game, was Pacheco being able to not only feel comfortable, but get in their face, get in the zone, make sure that Envy can't find the positioning they need. Like, this Shaolin is not really getting into the spots it needs to flourish.
What I love, though, is that it's really augmenting on the side of Virtus.Pro the play styles that they want to go. They want to be aggressive. They want to create this identity, and we're starting to see it. It takes a Dread Serpent, and it takes an Assert Dominance to quell this, but it's already been pushed about 50% of the way. Pacheco here really scaling so well with the Genos, and I think that's probably why they chose over the Eevee. Not only is he just scaling so well, like the BK would, like the Eevee would, but he can deal with the Drogos a lot better. You're seeing he's actually going after Random Noob. These Yomi strikes, not the hardest thing to hit, actually, in this type of a map.
And it's one of those things that normally you think, a little bit of a slower moving projectile, right? Going to be difficult to lock onto Drogos. Random Noob's been in the same spot essentially every single time I've seen him come into the fight. Like, they are keeping him corralled down. If he gets out of place, someone is putting him back, whether it be the Leon or the Zen. So they have a lot to deal with him right now. Dragon Punch coming through and not going to connect with anyone.
It's not, and this is, oh man, this is just good play. It's just good play all around from VP, and now Team Envy panicking a little bit, opting into the Dome Shield. Seismic Crash. They're going to just go for Rubu. I love this. Look at the aggression. This whole set has turned over upside down. And we used to see Envy doing this in games 1 with Rubu and Rock Monkey, Rubu and Random Noob pressuring out on the high ground of Splitstone. And now it's Virtus.Pro giving them the same treatment.
And I mean, again, up in the air, taken down, out of the sky. Random Noob is in a good spot to find some shots, but he's just getting locked down so quickly. The front lines do not have any presence when they are standing in front of Akate right now.
And this is getting scary because Virtus.Pro have now basically won 4 points in a row again off of 2 different games. And Envy, I mean, they've changed. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's this ban phase, but not even with the Torball, because you could have counted that last game to Torball. This is looking very, very good.
The thing that's interesting to me about this, and this is the way I want to frame this. I've mentioned a lot yesterday and in the last few days, and even today, that Virtus.Pro have been coming into our little area in skill shot, coming down, sitting in a player booth, scrimming. But Envy have a team house. Like, they're sitting next to each other anyway. They're playing together, all in the same room. We've seen their setup. But this is what Virtus.Pro has gotten from being able to come in here 9 hours or 8 to 9 hours a day, scrimming as much as they physically can. This is a team that is ready and thirsty to learn.
And I think one of the things that Envy like to do is they love to play confident, and they love to have these aggressive front lines, especially with the role of Rubu. Now, it's started to work here, but what has happened is it's maybe almost become too predictable to where Virtus.Pro are expecting this now, and they've made their proper adjustments, but just like a world champ would do, they're going to adjust onto your adjustments. They take it a little slower, they get it through time and space kill, and now it's just Virtus.Pro falling back, but with a comeback mechanic, can they get back in time? That fast cap is going to make it pretty difficult.
So far, very similar to actually last game, where it comes down to a Virtus.Pro have
back.
one change that they make for map number 1, and Immortal, I believe, coming out just in time to be able to save the Inara, get the touch, get the overtime. Doesn't last long enough to stay alive, though.
And there's the attempted maybe at the Void Grip, but I think they realize that we can't pull this back now. It just took too many resources, unfortunately. But Fisheko's going to find a nice kill. He does have Billow. They may be trying to wait this out. I'm not sure. This is interesting here. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. And then, again, another overtime. If Rubu goes down here, oh no. It's a beautiful shot from Tolki. That's probably going to save the day, but Random Noob still being cautious, knowing Akate is back.
And doing whatever they can. Virtus.Pro has staggered this fight out to the point where now that you lose Dose Slips, you don't have another front line to go in. You don't have a Xin to billow through and try to hold on to the overtime as long as you can. That was, there's one small moment. And it's just, are you looking at the Ashe that's about to die, or are you looking at the Barrack who's shooting you?
Yep.
And that is literally the only thing that I think breaks that fight down.
Yeah, because I think he has the Billow. I think he has the Billow.
He's ready to save himself.
He's thinking, all right, I get this kill easy. Then Tolki turns around. I mean, and that's the thing about all these front lines. You say Rubu's the aggressive, dangerous one. No, Tolki is as well. You just got to give him the time. This man's got quadra kills on Nara in basically the biggest stage of all of Paladins. So you have to understand he will clean those kills up if he gets an opportunity to do so. 1 minute and 50 now. Virtus.Pro have climbed back in this set. They've been punching big time all throughout the games, but they've finally taken one, and now we're in the lead, but have lost it to Team Envy. A Dread Serpent here, trying to seal the deal, I guess, onto Pule, but Fisheko gets killed on the Random Noob in the back line, so they're not really sure if they want to push.
And the lockdown is trying to come down. They're going to be able to get an Ashe ult deep into the backline of Virtus.Pro. And I love the call, which is just ignore. Unfortunately, you're going to lose Vex. You lose Fisheko and Hecate. Those two were unnecessary. You could have isolated, maybe locked down Rubu, but this is Envy. And again, adjustments to adjustments to adjustments. The way you worded it, Envy recognize what you're trying to do, and they're reading it now.
And now, I think one of the things I'm seeing as just a real hallmark of this Envy team is their willingness to use ults to get the job done. They are really using these as resources, not as something that just happen at at the beginning of a fight or at the very end of a fight. They're using them on the push a lot more aggressively when you're probably not going to get it back, and they're that confident that this is going to do it. Tolki's still getting a little low, gets that beautiful angle here for Random Noob as well to fire the rockets. And now there's a lot of pressure without the frontliner. They're going to lose the Maldamba in the backline though, because Hecate and Fisheko were not being looked at, and this duo, man, they are performing.
And the one thing I think that is very important to point out. First off, Rock Monkey,
tried.
I think, was going for it. Now he's going to jump off of the map. But
that was close.
The change. How many times in the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks have you seen a Drogoz firing his rockets from the ground? This is your point of view from him 90% of the time. Random Noob recognizes, I can't stay up there. Like, if Hekate's alive, I can't be in the air. He's just going to take me down. And he plays in the tunnel. He plays somewhere that is different for the team, and it works out so well.
Yeah, because look at what happens when he shows up. Right now, though, Rock Monkey returning the favor. This Battering Ram Ashe has been so successful, in my opinion. Rubu's just using it to get out of a lot of tough issues, but when you have a Genos who can Void Grip that and directly counter it, it's a lot harder. And, it's 3-1, and I wouldn't be giving credence to what's happening here. Fisheko's playing amazingly. This Genos is strong as well, and you got to give credit to all their frontliners, and Vex is doing such a good job. But Hecate's aim, like in Frog Isle, is what's opening up Fisheko to be so aggressive. Yeah. He is making them pay so much on this Leon that it is throwing, I think, Rock Monkey, Random, and the rest of Envy off a little bit.
And it's, again, roll back to Nocturne's Gaming, where Hecate is doing the same thing but to Na'Vi, where it's just like, how do we play against this guy? Like, at the time, he was bringing Kinessas to maps that Kinessa was never on, but he's hitting shots and making you play in weird angles that you aren't used to because no one hit shots like he did. And now you're putting it in this scenario where, you've got two guys, one on either side that can do that. Yeah. But Hecate, I think, is more consistent right now than what we're seeing out of the Shaolin.
I'll tell you what's crazy. I mean, we see a beautiful showcase of even how Vex is out healing on the Genos versus the Damba. I know he's got an Nara, but still that's a pretty good feat as well. Rubu has the Assert Dominance, gets Void Grip, and then misses. So now 33% for Virtus.Pro. They're going to back off, all in a clumped corner, though. This is perfect for Rubu, who's got the angle. Rock Monkey, though, getting sought after, and Pululi still chasing him down. He's going to miss the fireball. And now he's going to go into the Heat Haze.
Now this is going to be good, but there's the Immortal to counter it out. You're still going to be low health, but you're at least going to be alive.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, you're not getting the healing you need, and Rock Monkey blows you up with one swift arrow.
And look at the patience as well. Hecate, though, still finding the angles and staying alive and getting healed as well. Now Fasheko knows what's up. Hecate, he finds 2 out of that one, and Rock Monkey goes down. How is this even possible? The man was getting looked at from all angles, and now Fish finds another. Hecate slams back. It's a wipe onto Envy, and Random Noob is up in the air. Are they going to push this, or are they going to back off, Core?
Well, it's 99 to 60. Virtus.Pro dancing exactly where they need to. One person on the point, enough covering him, but Random Noob goes over the walls. He's flying around. He's using the jetpack to its momentum, and they're going to be able to get in and get overtime.
But and he gets vexed. That was huge. What a flank by Random Noob to keep them in it. Dosups now doesn't have the healing, but he's going to finish it off. Pulu'uli with the fire and the flames, but Rubu knows it's all up to him and the rest of the squad to try to get this game back in their hands. And man, oh man, Random Noob, I don't care what he done all game long, all set long. That was worth it right there.
And that's the play that makes, again, the difference. The one person that Virtus.Pro didn't lock down, and probably the one person they were looking for and didn't expect to see, Wormjet Strogos can travel. And that is
and just the angle, I mean, from the back, up, you know, from the top back window, that was really, it was surprising, man.
Yeah.
And you have to look at some of the itemization here as well. I'd love to see kind of where Rubu's going, because he has been known to run a lot of morale boost on his front lines when he's playing more of that aggressive style with Khan. Still going to the blast shields. A lot of respect here for the blast damage. And that is really what you're going to see with the Yomi, because it's going to hit multiple people. The rules of Paladins essentially got cleaned up to where if something hits multiple people, like a shock pulse right on Grok, even though it feels like it's direct damage, it will actually be countered as blast damage and mitigated by that blast, which may, you know, also counter the Fernando, but that's really not what he's going for.
Yeah, that's a 100%.
Not enough damage to
Fasheko
do
is
that,
messing with me way too much for me to feel comfortable. Fireballs, again, that's kind of icing on top, right? Where it's just like, cool, I'm getting this, and there's a little bit on the side that I'm also getting into.
Exactly.
Envy have a much cleaner push this time around. I mean, they're already through the first gate. They're in the final choke point, I would say. The base for Virtus.Pro opens up right onto the payload, but they have a minute to play with.
And he missed one shot. I think he thought maybe he was going to try to move backwards, but weird. Called the bluff, met it, and there's a dragon who almost died, but he's going to live yet again. And we all know what happens when you let Random Noob live. Sometimes he comes back to bite you. Fasheko tasked with kind of holding that right choke, doing a good job of it thus far. He's going to whirl, though. What does he see here that he's really enjoying? I don't know. He just dies. Random Noob takes the angle that he was holding so diligently, and now Dosups is under pressure.
And being able to give that room to Rubu is probably the worst mistake. And again, looking at the ult economy right now, Envy are the ones, even though they're down 1, can still use those to try and push this in if they want to, but they may not have to. Hecate gets a kill on a Random Noob, but Random Noob gets rid of Pulu'uli. That is the aggression that makes the difference. Now get rid of Mr. Hayes, and you're going to make this a lot easier, but he slithers out.
But I think they've done enough there. I think Rubu is just such a key in terms of holding that angle, keeping the pressure alive. Now you see Mr. Hayes, Tolkien. They don't really have anyone to peel for them at this point the way Rubu normally would be doing. And Random Noob isolated by himself, that's not going to do. Pulu'uli playing fantastically today on the Fernando. Not easy to min-max the defensive situations there, but he's done a great job.
And more, as time goes on, I think people are starting to see, again, a couple weeks ago against the Knights, Virtus.Pro, I remember seeing like either comments in the chat, people talking about it, and it's just like what people were expecting out of the team and what they saw was not one and the same.
Right.
Based on not only their confidence levels, but just the way they were playing when they went into that first matchup. This is 2 weeks of work.
Right.
There is still 10 weeks of play after this. Imagine what all of these teams are going to look like by then, right? And that is the one thing I think that's important to keep in mind, and the one thing a lot of these teams have been looking at. One set on one day not going your way doesn't mean too much.
Right.
But being able to make the adjustment where, right now, I mean, you're 1 point away from tying up a set with Envy, who is, as of now, undefeated, and the only team that's been able to really keep them on their toes is Na'Vi. This is huge, not only for the league, but just for Virtus.Pro.
And it shows that, there's some chinks in the armor in Envy. They're not untouchable. Here's the Dragon Punch as well. He's going to bait it out with the Immortal, and he's going to try to set it up so that there's a very clear line of sight to be able to kill Random Noob. That's why he backed up a little bit. That was beautiful stuff from Pulu'uli yet again. Now Rubu has the chance to counter-engage, knowing that there is no immortality to keep him alive. He's got the invincibility now, but Fasheko, he's, I guess, just going to back off as Rubu still pursues him.
And Rubu right now that blast shield is paying dividends. Like, he's getting the worst end of that boxing match, but
no.
only because multiple people were looking at him. Between him and Fish, I actually think full health, he's going to be the one that comes out on top. I think he does maybe nowhere near as much damage as you're going to see out of the Yomi strikes, but he has the control coming down that an Ashe would have. Unfortunately for them, that's going to buy time for the front lines to come back and for Fish Echo to get in the face of Envy.
And think about this. The only reason they were able to get back in and win this fight is because Random Noob did one of the sneakiest flanks we've seen on that Drogoz. I feel like Virtus.Pro are going to know what's up now. They're going to win this one. They're going to take it into a 2-2 set, and they are going to tie things up with the world champs. Incredible. But you could kind of smell it coming. You could smell it coming from the beginning of the set today, and you could see it in this game. They had their number. Envy have to go back to the drawing board here, and quickly.
And they have to kind of figure it out. I mean, the draft obviously isn't the necessary thing that's going wrong, although I will say letting Fish Echo stay comfortable is probably something they need to have maybe high on their priority list to get rid of, but I think it does fall back to something a little further behind. Genos is allowing these players, specifically for Fish Echo, to get as aggressive as possible.
And I'm very excited to continue to see this team. I mean, the development that we've seen across the board today, you know, it was something that we were not only experiencing earlier on, like you mentioned, with them playing, showing up,
all the time,
like scrimming. I mean, the effort that these guys have put in, and I think the disappointment in losing and having to take that time off, it's showing up today. And against Envy, wow, who would have expected that?
I mean, they have been, again, as of right now, I'm going to say most improved from what I've seen. Like,
100%,
Knights are definitely in that area where it's like we don't know what to expect. Obviously, we haven't gotten to see Space Station Gaming play yet, but looking into the future, just looking at how hard it works, this is literal proof that the grind will pay off in the end. If you spend that time working on it, you can push yourself and accelerate to potentially be the top team.
Well, the potential starting to show itself here in this multifaceted, multicultural team of Virtus.Pro. Let's send it back to the desk. Get ready for what is now only a best of 3.
Thank you, guys. And the set is now at 2-2. Going to go into a little bit longer of a break. Let the players chill out a little bit. But Virtus.Pro, I mean, they're firing now. They are the ones who are firing on all cylinders. A 4-1 there for them on the back end of Fish Echo's huge EV game on Frog Isle. And I have to bring it up. I mean, is Genos really the key in all this? I mean, do you just ban away the Genos if you're not going to first pick it and just not deal with it?
I don't know, man. Hasn't lost yet. I think it's not so much Genos as it is like the type of play style he allows.
Sure.
Like, people don't have to be worried about where they're positioned necessarily because Genos heals through walls. He's the only healer that can do that. Being able to not worry about where your healer is and you're always getting that healing allows for more pressure. I think the front line play this really nicely from Virtus.Pro. Pule has done a very good job on Fernando and keeping the Dragon Punch, you know, always countered out, making sure he waits to the absolute last possible second to where it feels like Random Noob might be like, does he actually have it up right now? Am I actually going to get this punch landed? They bait out the kill early there, but it was a little bit of the Hecate show, right? It's not only about the space you create, it's about what you do with it. Hecate has a lot of great moments, and he had that Fish Echo level carry performance that we saw on the Frog Isle. It was his turn to step up and do it. This is his most comfortable character. This is his favorite pick right now, and he showed us why.
And we talk about that as well. I mean, you have Genos is kind of the name that I keep throwing around in the contested pick ban, kind of top tier guy right now, as well as the Leon, though. We saw Envy ban out Leon and Cassie one game. That was when Torvald and Genos were able to come through on the opposite side. But now we're kind of seeing Leon be contested. You have somebody like Hecate who can play it just as well as somebody like Random Noob. And that's a champion that's now kind of getting contested back and forth. We've had 2 games with her on either side, and she's kind of tilted the scales.
I think Cassie and Leon are going to be big picks going into the next map, almost no matter what it is. Partially because that's the way Leon and Cassie are. You can pretty much put them anywhere. But now that Rock Monkey has won 2 games hard on Leon, lost on Kinessa, lost on Shaolin, he's going to be looking to get back to those comfort picks. This is the point where Envy are starting to wake up. They're starting to sit up in their chairs a little bit. Okay, this is getting real, guys. We're
going to be a series.
Tied up now. We just obliterated them for 2 games straight. They got a little funky on us, and now we're equalized at this point. So now they have to start really, really thinking about comfort. They have to start thinking about, I think, a little bit of more of the intangible stuff in this set, and playing with that pressure and getting that pressure that they once had. It came at the hand of Genos, so whether they ban it just to equalize the set, and I think they would be also, they'd be better off in the situation where they get Genos, and they would also be better off than Virtus.Pro in the situation where Genos banned, because I think they can play that more vanilla game of Paladins better than Virtus.Pro can. We
saw that kind of in game number 1 on Splitstone. They had the Genos, Envy had the Genos on their side, but they had Leon, they had Eevee, they had Ruckus for Rubu. I mean, from top to bottom, it was just kind of those vanilla comfort picks on the side of Envy. So maybe digressing back into a little bit of that, as you said, I think the Genos ban opens that up maybe a little bit for them. But if you're on the side of Virtus.Pro, now you're the ones who can just say, all right, more of the same. If they're going to leave us Genos, then we play Genos. If they're going to leave us our comfort picks, we're going to play our comfort picks.
Yeah, there's so much more the wheelhouse of Fasheko. That is the style of play that he and his Fnatic squad last season were so successful with, that it's not only a comfort pick for Vex because he can play any support. Most supports can basically play any support. But it's a comfortable style, I think, for them to be able to be operating with. And so if Genos is not a part of this equation, I feel that we do sort of fall back closer to like a little Season 2 meta style, where it is going to be a little bit closer to the meta that Envy won the World Championship on, and I don't think that's a bad thing for them at this point.
No, definitely not. Now Envy, the scripts have kind of been flipped here as far as face cams go. We saw Envy very comfortable laughing after games 1 and 2 for good reason, off to a very hot start, and then we saw Virtus.Pro just now. They're all chuckling, they're comfortable, their smiles on their faces, they're feeling good with how they've come out to play. I talked about this a little bit after games 1 and 2, where Virtus.Pro they've played one game. They've had a long break after that. They've obviously been in here scrimming, but kind of getting into that real competitive, like, this matters mindset. I mean, that takes a couple games, and now we kind of see them starting to roll again. Now the set down to a best of 3. At minimum, we're going to 6 games. Potentially, I would not be surprised if we go to a game 7 here. I think Envy's going to be able to answer back. They're going to find some answers for what Virtus.Pro has given, but Virtus.Pro is going to be right in there. So I expect a full-length series here to start off the day.
Well, it certainly would be a treat, especially after kind of the way the predictions went, and we've only seen the one loss from Virtus.Pro. This is literally the number 8 seed versus the number 1 seed at this point, and that's why, again, I want to stress that the standings really aren't reflective
such a small sample size
of what the league is going to be yet. There's a 13-week phase. Space Station Gaming hasn't even played any of their games yet. They won't be in until, I believe, next week. Week 4 was what I was told they would be coming in on. So, you know, very excited to see those guys. They announced yesterday, a little bit slower than the rest out of the gate, but they are going to get here. Better late than never.
That video is wild of theirs. That video is really exciting to watch. Really,
they're a very exciting team.
They are exciting. It's going to be fun to watch them come in here. We're going to be getting maps for game number 5 here shortly. Teams kind of coming back after breaks here. Meta Pusher writing down his notes. And Envy's pick is going to be Stone Keep. So caters to some of the same champions that we saw in the last game. Drogos can do just fine on a map like this if that's the direction you go. But the things to look out for that we've been talking about: do you ban a Genos if you're not going to first pick him? Do you take away the Leon and the Cassie? Those are the things now that the teams have had a chance to kind of go back and talk about and put into place here.
Well, Envy have been first picking Ashe when Genos has been available, and that's been another. Ashe is Grovery to me, where if she's not banned, so she's not as bad as Grover was, but I don't know if she's the first pick material that I think a lot of teams are picking her up as. I think that combination of Ashe Genos was really nice, being able to set up. It's a big, wide AoE stun that doesn't do a lot of damage, so it's naturally the perfect thing to segue into a Genos with, just to combo off of and get that time and space. And through time and space is the one, new frontier, the unchecked potential of Genos' kit right now that people are not hitting consistently enough. If a team finds a way to master the ability to hit that ultimate every single team fight, then they'll be at a whole new level.
Envy takes away the Genos and the Cassie ban. Actually, that's something we haven't really talked about either. Essentially, every single game, I think, except one, we've seen Cassie just taken off the table entirely. Envy took her away as long as the Leon, as well as the Leon. I think it was game number 2 they took them off their board, maybe game number 3. But Leon now coming out on the side of Virtus.Pro, so keeping Hecate on his comfortable pick. But they do get the Genos here as well, so that's kind of been the question. If you're not going to ban them, I guess we first pick him, so he's been the contested champion at least for the
So
day.
now they can grab like an Ashe Bomb King if that's something they want to look after. Eevee's not really big on this map either. Xin, not really either. So Bomb King is the blaster that I'd be looking at for random noob. I think a lot of people have run and tried to run Drogos on this map.
Right.
You are
I don't
nothing
think
but
it's been
dust in the wind.
super effective, and
Form up
especially
and
with
follow
Leon
me
looking
in.
at you across the way, I'm not exactly
It's
sure
been-
that that's the way they want to go again.
It's been there. I mean, he's
been there.
he's existed on this map. I mean, not to any eye-opening success or eye-opening defeats. Grover is going to make his way through. This is the first Grover we've seen today?
Yep.
I think it is. First
Picked or banned.
Potentially first pick or ban of Grover for the day. Fernando making his way through again, potentially, if this is who they lock in for Virtus.Pro.
This is why I feel very vindicated in my opinion on Grover, because it's like if it goes from banned every game to literally not picked,
Right.
then it's an overestimation.
It just seems like so many teams have higher. They're like, all right,
Yeah.
I care so much less about getting the Grover than I do about getting our Genos, getting our Barrett, getting our Ashe.
He's not bad.
No,
to
he's
me.
not bad by any means.
He's just
He's just not
plug and
necessarily
play.
right. He's not a. We have to ban him. We have to pick him first, or else we're in trouble. Whirlwind provides a great bit of utility, so certainly a good champion, but potentially not constantly ban worthy. Envy are going to be able to round out their lineup here with a couple of picks. Still looking for a tanky champ.
Coach
Another
with a lot to
damage
say
dealer.
there. My goodness.
He is. Spuds is really making sure that Virtus.Pro know what's going on. The Bomb King, you get your wish.
You are not welcome
Nara's
here.
going to round things out here for Tulki. Virtus.Pro still looking for a blaster on their side. Where's Fasheko going to go is the question. They have the Drogos that we've said has kind of been neither here nor there. I suppose you could play Eevee on a map like Stone Keep if that's the direction you want to go.
So the interesting
The world
part
is their oyster.
about this Shaolin with the Genos is that the 15% damage only amps off of the 1,000 base of the arrow,
Right.
taking him to 1150. And then the 300 from explosive arrow, if you make direct contact, adds on top of that for 1450, which puts you in a spot now where you can hit that arrow and immediately go into planted, and you're doing that 2250 to any character, aka Leon and Xin. If they're not on point, Grover as well, if they're not ready for it, they are going to be bursted in an extremely small little window. There's opportunity for Rock Monkey to be much more impactful on the Shaolin now than I think there was in the game prior. I think Envy have definitely won this draft in every position except for that 2 slot right there. The Leon, the Shaolin. I think Hecate is much more potent and comfortable on Leon than Rock is on Shaolin at the moment.
We've seen Rock Monkey on Shaolin today. We have not seen him.
Seen a lot
with
of
the
people on
Genos.
Shaolin. at
That's
this
true.
point.
That's true. Yeah, I mean he's starting to come more into the meta as far as some of those
Genos,
first
man.
priority snipery type champions. But Envy and Virtus.Pro tied up at 2 here. This is going to tilt the scales one way or the other. We're down to a best of 3 here for both of these teams. Some interesting lineups on both sides. Envy grabs the Genos here in game number 5. Can it be the difference maker? That's the question. Let's send it down to the casters to answer it.
I honestly am getting excited just to have this music play and realize the epic moment is actually here. It's not just this map making it feel epic. This is an epic set that has turned from a best of 7 into essentially a best of 3. First to 2 wins. Now, we'll tell whether Envy will take their first loss or Virtus.Pro their first win of the season here.
And to be able to come in and say your first win was against not only an undefeated team, but
Strong
against Envy
statement.
as well, is going to make you maybe paint a target very big and appropriately on your back. But Virtus.Pro have made the shift. Now they have the Grover, and that's the one that I think is going to be kind of the wild card coming into this.
Oh, and Rock misses the first arrow. He does not land the second either, so now Fasheko is cleanly into the back line. This is going to be trouble. You cannot hang out in these hallways if he's got line of sight to you. It's going to whirl away. Now Pule also creating space for him, but here comes Rubu on the rotation. That is a shield that has been melted, my friend. Formidable going to pick up now, so he's going to get that healing and then go towards Grover. It's one of the reasons why you can play him so well. He gets that self-healing so he can peel, then gets back to his main healer, and then he can get back up healthy again with that shield cooldown back. But Rock Monkey holding that keep, finds the first blood. What can they do now? Virtus.Pro still in the lead, capture objective-wise.
And your eyes do need to be a little bit onto the Grover, because even though it's the healing numbers that really make him big, that crippling throw could make a big difference. But Hecate, Vex, all getting taken down. Fasheko,
Yeah, he did.
literally all 4 just wiped in the matter of seconds.
He did. But I like the fact that they were patient. Dosip's still on the mount. I think you can hear, actually, Random Nuke coming, and so he's just going to try to get the first shot. Uses one of the Rocket Boots cooldowns, though, but doesn't get below 30%, so that fail-safe should still activate. He's got to get onto the point, though, but he's got to walk there, and it's going to be Fasheko who touches. This is a smarter way to do it. Fasheko can't stay alive, however. Tolkien now getting pressured as well. Core in overtime, starting up.
Doing whatever they can. Tolkien, unfortunately, not going to take too much damage if you're a Virtus.Pro fan, so he's going to stay alive. But overtime going to tick through 99 to 69 on the other side for Virtus.Pro, but they're low health bars, and no one's pressuring out Rock.
I mean, Tolkien needs to go down. Poliole found Random Noob, and that was big. How much will this kind of shift the tide, so to speak? Because now Rubu has to go onto the point. He assert dominance. It's so clean, and it's just a matter of ultimates starting to land and who they're landing for. Enlightenment is ready for Leon. She's going to miss, though. Kate going to buy a little bit of time. And now Fasheko trying to take the 1v1. He's going to miss the last Yomi strike. Rock Monkey waiting for him, but Fasheko is right back here. And oh no, Rock Monkey with the oopsie daisy goes into stealth, cleans him up, and Envy, they're going to grab point 1.
And they kind of figured out, this is one of the things that Envy does well, but they figured out where the pressure was coming from that they needed to deal with. Xin on this map doesn't get as much as Xin on Ascension Peak, as we saw the Eevee on Frog Isle, right? You have to play it in a very appropriate spot. You have to be locked down. But Envy collapsing, they're all standing around in the keep, couple on the high ground, one watching the door, everyone else looking at the point. Rock Monkey was safe.
Yeah.
Again, the best phrase to use for it is he's in the pocket. No one's going to touch him. No one's going to be able to get to him. You have to break through all of their essentially offensive linemen that are holding him down, and that is going to be Rubu, and you can't really do much about him.
And I like the aggressiveness. Again, you guys, they're willing to use these ults on the push, but this time it does not work out. And in fact, the through time and space doesn't hit. They also just do not get any value from the creation of the pressure. In fact, it almost commits them too heavily, and then they fall, one of the big downfalls of it. But a minute and 30 seconds left. They'll have plenty of time to build those back up, as it is a 1-0 lead. Virtus.Pro, though, defending very, very advanced, and Dosip's making it away. Nice wall, good shield, and a great heal from Vex.
And now they're just holding on to it. Fasheko does get rid of Random Noob, but, you know, with the positioning Envy's taking, very important to recognize, I guess, the way they're fighting this, the way they're getting rid of Virtus.Pro. The payload's on the other side of the map. They're killing them, like, on their way to try and defend as they do the circle all around, but unfortunately for them, it's not enough. And I feel like this is where Nick's kind of vision on Grover, the way that he views him, is very appropriate, because he went from must-ban top pick to we haven't seen him this set until this game. He provides a lot of healing, but it has to be the right scenario, the right map, the right rotations. Like, you have to play around the Grover more than you have to play around, say, Genos.
Yeah, and that's a huge key here. King Bomb at the ready for Random Noob. He's trying to push it in, but he's getting us so much damage and aggression, and he's going to fall thanks to Hecate. If they get Mr. Hayes here, that would do wonders. Dosip's put in the corner. Rock Monkey hitting every single shot and just making it so difficult for him. Does he Dome Shield here? Nope. He's got Puleule to help build some time and then get into Rock. And you can see, look at the rotation. There are a few members who are now either going to back off or Rock Monkey is going to play this safer. And this is the way that Envy does. They kind of pull back with their front line. That is a damage dealer at times to make sure that this man can't stay safe. But Tolkien is going to get pressured out. And it's still overtime. They're still biting at it.
Now, the thing they have going into this is that Rubu and Tolkien, at least while they were both alive, were able to kind of tag team, jump in, get the overtime timer, hey, I'm getting low, back off, trade out.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for them, they weren't able to hold on to it. The thing I was wondering towards the end of that push was if Virtus.Pro was going to look for that defense as heavily as they did. And they did. They're able to find it, keep it 1-1.
Yeah.
Or if they were going to maybe say, you know what, hold on to your ults. Don't put yourself in a dangerous position. Let's take a playbook out of Envy here, and let's use the comeback mechanic next round.
Yeah.
But then see if we can push it and get it 2-2. Even though that's a dangerous spot to be in, at least it gives you that kind of advantage of saying, like, we just won the point, we keep the economy even, and we got at least one comeback mechanic round to make it a little easier on ourselves.
I agree. I mean, I think this is where you have to look at these two teams are now just dead even for me right now and how they're playing. Just so good. And the little things are going to decide it all. Actually anticipating that route. They don't take the route at all. So Rock Monkey wastes not really an expensive cooldown, but he does waste the planet. Fasheko nearly gets one-tapped there. I'm not even sure how that was possible. He's trying to heal up as well. He finds him. Good counter in anticipation. And now it's Rubu and Rock Monkey paying a lot of attention, but maybe that's opened something up in the keep. Puleule trying to push in and keep them in the corridor, but he gets void gripped immediately.
and you're looking at the damage coming down from Rock Monkey again, what Nick was pointing
What
out
an
on the
easy
desk.
kill. You're thinking, he got it!
1450 from an explosive arrow, but Pule Ule is the one making the big difference right now. They come through. That's 2 big kills from Virtus.Pro.
That's huge. They found the kill onto the support, and now they are ready to dive and control. Doseps with a kill on the Rock Monkey late, and Rubu looks like he's going to go down late as well because an assert dominance was used when he thought his team was going to be able to make it out alive and capitalize on it again. But Virtus.Pro, they have stolen the show here, and they are maybe about to steal point 2.
And another big change they've made this set, and I'm looking game 1 to game 4, game 1 to game 5 now, is where Doseps is playing on the Barrack, right? The first game, the second game, this Barrack was never sitting on the point. It was trying to fight like it was a backline damage, hit scan, like you're looking for those rocket shots. No, get on the objective. Force a little bit more pressure onto Envy, and that's what he's been doing these last few games. The success for Virtus.Pro has been found on the zone created for the front line, so he can play the way that you're looking at Tulky trying to play.
And you know what's great about, I think, just Barrack in general is that this playstyle of the Rocket Boots is what allows him to match. He's got so many cooldowns now. He's really functioning like the character, you know, I think really would function. And he's not just this, like, turret machine. He's not just this, like, crazy fat cast. He does a little bit of everything, and that's what gives him the wiggle room with a great player to be successful. He could stand tall, even though he's a little bit shorter guy on the other end of it, but he can stand tall in his gameplay. Let's say that.
Well, the big thing out of all that, Failsafe is the card to kind of keep your eye on. Bowling Ball is the important one because it's the one applying the shield. Failsafe is the one that's keeping him safe. You can essentially get 2 dashes if you get really low, if you hit it in time. And Doseps is actually running it at 3, so 30% instead of the 45% you'd see if you bump it up a level. And that's the big difference. So he's not going to get that dash as early, but he's going to get it when he needs it most. So he's going to maybe not have quite as much effective health at the end of the day, but he's definitely keeping himself going.
I mean, when you drop below 30, it's a little bit less because you have so much room to work with as a frontliner. Barrack with 3,700 health, 30% of that's going to be just okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Virtus.Pro push that one in, and it is 3-1 here on Stone Keep.
I got the pleasure to talk to a couple of players, a couple from Envy, a couple from Virtus.Pro going into this, and Hecate is the one that kind of stands out in my mind because not only is he confident that they have the potential to beat Envy, which they are very well showcasing.
Yeah.
But he was saying, he just shook his head because I said, you know, like, look, they got highlights of you. Like, you did so much damage in the last games. This was coming into this match. And he was like, yeah, game 1, game 2, he's like, I wasn't in. Like, my aim was off, I was off, everything about me was off. And, like, that presence, I guess, to be able to recognize, yeah, it's maybe not all my fault, but, like, I definitely wasn't helping.
Yeah.
So, coming into it, you hit game 3, his aim is all of a sudden turned on, right?
Yeah.
He's hitting these shots, and you get Fish Echo having these performances. Like, that's the trade-off you make. Their slash lines aren't great right here. It's just the control. This is more like what we saw to Navi last week.
And now, look at this, through time and space, and it will not find much. It does get Pule Ule, and I guess it's going to turn into a kill there, and maybe they're just going to full reset just for now, because there's no reason to try to do anything. I said it didn't find much, and maybe that's not what they were going for, but luckily Rubu's in the perfect position just to capitalize on that. But they fall back so quickly, Gord, they're going to have another go at this, you know, barring something extravagant like that.
Rubu approached this perfectly. Comeback mechanic there for Envy. Again, this is something that we've seen the last couple of maps. But that was, all right, I just have to dismount. Like, we have so much time. Like, I don't have to get a kill. Getting a kill there means it's an even better zone. But he just has to be there to make sure that they dismount to try and figure out how do we take down this raid boss. That is Rubu.
Yep. I mean, and Envy's just a raid boss in general. And with 2 minutes now, Envy's turn to push. It's not over yet. They have bounced back quite nicely. But, you know, I always get a little worried. I get a little worried when a through time and space is the reason I win a team fight, because you say, you know, you can't count on that, can you? Can you count on that to win you a 3-3 team fight? Can you count on that? Can you just to do it again next round, even if it's 3-2 and they defend? That is a almost like a side benefit, but not something that should come standard with the contract and expectation of Genos. So they got the job done, but, man, so many adjustments here and so many little things.
A lot of them that could go right for Envy. Again, if the stars align, which is very appropriate for Genos, then he can make sure that maybe his shots align and makes that difference. But unfortunately, you're in this position where, I mean, Fasheka's doing this. He's getting into your backline. He's causing trouble for Random Noob and then getting and putting pressure onto Mr. Hayes. One shot is all it will take, either to kill him or for the counter to go through. No matter what, Mr. Hayes isn't walking out of that.
Yeah, and I want to speak a little bit about, because, you know, Tolkien could go and look at Zen there. He's got the counter up. He's doing a good job of making sure that they don't shoot him, because that could then kill Mr. Hayes. But the thing is, Pulele also puts the pressure on right when you need him. We saw a little bit of a clip of that fireball that cleaned up the kill on Mr. Hayes. The back line, the front line, excuse me, the aggressors are doing such a good job of diving the support here. It's made it very difficult for Mr. Hayes to have the type of impact that he usually does.
I was wondering whether or not he was walking out of that. I see the dash come through, no shield, so not running that in his loadout to be able to get the shield on his dash. And also gets the heal, but not quite enough. But
yeah,
when you look at the streaks, specifically when you look at support streaks, you're looking at a 17-streak Grover right now. The healing from Vex is incredible that is going to be coming down from him, but it hasn't been enough, especially in this last fight. He's keeping up with Genos, but I should actually say that Genos is keeping up with Grover. Genos' output is not crazy in terms of healing. The buff has helped him, but it's definitely not supposed to match the Grover.
Yeah, and you know what? You're right, actually, though, Gore. I mean, maybe that buff is just changing the dynamic of where we should expect his heals. Because flat 300, it is a big deal, and he can get them off pretty often, especially. So, you know, we may have to start thinking that
900, 900, 900, plus all of the extra stuff. Like, he's actually hitting the same amount of healing, I guess, from a single Blossom. And overall, about the same amount of time.
Yeah, it's interesting here, you know, but great stuff from Rubu. I think he was a star in that round. I thought the Genos, again, a little worried to have to try to rely on that, because sometimes it's just so perfect and sometimes it just whiffs. But here it is, 3-3, ladies and gentlemen. Virtus.Pro versus Envy here. The winner goes up in this set and then is one game away. There's a through time and space, and this time it whiffs. But here's the Assert Dominance coming through, and it's going to get countered. No Billow as well, but a Whirlwind's going to keep everybody alive. A Wall's actually going to separate them, so no Cauterize as well. Everything has been thrown at the table here, trying to find kills, and Rubu just trying to get that one himself, but still 48% for Virtus.Pro.
But they get rid of Mr. Hayes, they get rid of Random Noob, they're looking for the shots. Akate is incredibly low, but gets taken down by Tolki, who will fall almost immediately, but that trade-off isn't going to be enough. But now, frontline standing alive, Virtus.Pro, they have the point.
And can you get this aggressive? Fisheko, he's so low, he needs the Billow. No, Random Noob's going to clean him up over the counter. The blast damage might have just sealed the deal, but Random Noob now getting pressured by Pulele. Chain reaction, it's not going to be enough. Vex is there, he will get full healed. Envy have to do this the old-fashioned way and win one more fight.
So far, they fought back. About 90% is a daunting number. That bar for Virtus.Pro is almost full. Unfortunately, Hecate, again, a couple of missed shots, dies a little late there in that fight. Now, they need to get aggressive, and it gets so low, and he's trying to go through the stairs, but just can't connect it.
But they're going to get Mr. Hayes, and they're going to get Random Noob. Virtus.Pro, they're going to get Rock Monkey as well. Oh my goodness gracious. They might just be taking this one and going ahead of the world champs.
Doing whatever they can. Rubu's trying to touch down, but that's a double kill for Hecate. Fisheko stays alive. They got it.
I can't believe
it. They did it.
Virtus.Pro, they haven't won, but they damn near feel like it, and it feels like it to watch as well. Look at the smiles. They are ahead in this set against Envy.
Imagine the stress you feel if you are Hecate. Fisheko goes down. You see a couple of people really low. Tolki's almost dead. You miss a shot. You go for an alignment, and the minute you come out of it, you're dead. And now you see Envy take back the point. You see their bar start going up, and you're just like, how do we get back into this? Like, that's the pressure is on in that moment.
Yeah.
And to be able to come in and hit the shots and then miss the few key moments you need to kill off Random Noob, but to find the other target. The minute Mr. Hayes fell down, they hit the gas pedal.
Yeah, and I think it was just, that was the story of that one. The pressure from Pulele, what a fantastic role, you know, for him, and to do it on the Fernando. They just kept Mr. Hayes under fire, and I always get worried when I win a through time and space point fight, because what happens? And it whiffs, and it goes the way of Virtus.Pro. So many other details to break down and talk about, though, and we'll leave that for the desk to wrap up now Virtus.Pro, who could be at their potential game winner next game.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Gore. And Game 5 was a fun one on Stone Keep, and Virtus.Pro find themselves in the lead, for the first time today. They win 3 straight to go up 3-2, and Genos finds his first loss of the day.
He certainly does.
And wow, what a fun one that was to watch. And Hecate continues his tear on the Leon, 121,000 damage. Rock Monkey, though, actually beating that one out, 13-4 for Rock. a little bit disappointed to lose that one.
I'm looking at 4 and 12.
But 4 and 12.
Yeah,
On random
74K
Yep.
damage for the Bomb King as well. Runs chain reaction harder, admittedly.
Right.
Objectively harder to run, but a higher payoff if you can land it all. This is the moment I really want to talk about. Just the perfect spike to the high ground. Mr. Hayes was just like, I just have nothing for this.
Yep.
There is no timeline in which I am prepared to deal with that. It's a huge committal play, but that's what they needed to do. VP at that moment needed to either get the objective to 99 to get the overtime in play,
Right.
or use that 4v5 to their advantage, which is the option they chose, go hard at it and just collapse on Envy and break them in that moment in the keep.
And Envy, the face is looking a bit
Such a
dejected
good play
at the moment. But yeah, a wild ending there. Brilliant play there from Fisheko to flank around the backside, find some kills, and really split that one wide open. Honestly, for the first time this season, Envy now find themselves behind. They need to find themselves a win here if they don't want to go down in Game 6. Hecate looking happy. The entire VP booth looking happy. Envy deep in thought, trying to figure out a way.
This is almost at the point where we're at. It's not the reverse sweep because they weren't a 3-0, but this is almost the 4 maps.
The 4-map sweep, right?
From Virtus.Pro. This is just so much momentum on their side. Envy will have another map pick. I don't know. And the biggest thing that VP did there was defeat Envy against that Genos. Get the first win against Genos. Now there's so many more question marks for Envy. All right, that wasn't the key. That wasn't it for this set. And I think you can say we did lose with it, but maybe it's the Bomb King that didn't go well for us. Which Luminary Bomb King, that's a very surprising thing.
You'd assume that would do really well. Right.
Yeah, it's supposed to be super good, super consistent. I will say chain reaction is hard. Chain reaction is hard to run. I think it makes it much more difficult to pull off. A lot less damage, a lot less room to, attack around corners, attack above Zin's counter, which is a big thing that goes into that Bomb King Zin matchup. If you can catch him out with the counter and just blow up bombs above his head the entire duration, he's in a bad spot. Ice Mines will be the selection.
Yeah.
Team Envy on the back foot, going to Ice Mines, man.
I don't know if I would have expected to say that here today. I know that Virtus.Pro is going to put up a fight, but seeing the way they flipped this on its head, the last 3 maps, the way they've played,
they're looking pretty sad boys right now, too, man.
I know they have mental toughness. The respect band coming out, taking the Zin away from Fisheko. Don't want a repeat of what happened to them last game. Cassie has been a band that's been tossed around as well. It's going to be the Makoa Khan, Torvald, Zin, and Envy have felt pretty open to banning away Torvald, one of those 3 down there, Torvald, Makoa Khan, and then throwing in another damage dealer. In this case, it's Zin. It has been Cassie in the past, but they go back to Ash first pick.
Yeah.
And, again, the Genos that we've been talking about, that leaves it open for Virtus.Pro here.
That's solid. Ash is super good on this map.
Right, she is.
You come in, you dismount off the horse, you shoulder charge to the other enemy's hallway, you ult there, and it's yours. Everyone's going to be stunned. You might get a 4 or 5-man stun if they all clump up for that. It's just so much potential. Genos Leon, that's been working for VP. Cassie's open this time, though, for Rock Monkey. I don't know where he's going to go. I think it's also worth noting that while it hasn't happened in a while, Random Noob can play Cassie. He does play the character. Could potentially be going that way if Rock feels like he wants to do another Shaolin game. But with Drogo's Bomb King being so viable on this map as well, that's the way they're going to go for old Random.
And that's a good pick. You have to find a way to make Leon uncomfortable. It's actually a pretty good matchup for Leon. Drogos has kind of a hard time playing into that. But just adding an extra dimension, adding the height factor into your lineup oftentimes is enough to throw the other team just through a little bit of a loop. We saw him play really well on Ascension Peak, actually, Random Noob, with some really great flanks, finding the angles to play. Actually, and it was into Leon, I think, that time as well.
The difference here is that Ice Mines isn't so much of a height map. Ice Mines is more about the line of sight breaks, which is, he probably will go combustible this game. He's probably not even going to go Worm Jets. He's going to be very, very safe. The Fernando's a pretty smart takeaway as well, because Immortal is one of the best things to combo with the Dragon Punch to keep it safe. And also, when you have Drogos, it's likely that you're putting Fisheko on Bomb King at this point. And that's a really, really good way to also counter-engage against a King Bomb. The same things it does for Dragon Punch, it takes away from the King Bomb. It takes away his ability to initiate and survive the follow-up.
So the Cassie does get picked up, and it does go over to Rock Monkey in this one. Certainly a treat because he is, well, he's wild on every champion, but Cassie is no exception. Virtus.Pro, we assume to see a Bomb King coming out here to round out their lineup. A great pickup for Fasheko, as well as a great pick in general here on Ice
Don't worry,
Mines.
subjects.
Bomb King
After a
it
few
is.
good
So they get
lashes,
the
you'll
Bomb
all
King
see it
Genos
my way.
and the Leon as well. We didn't see huge success out of it last game from Envy, but they have the Cassie and they have the Drogos here.
This is going to be a bloodbath.
I think it'll be an interesting matchup. Both
Very
teams
good.
with two different play styles.
Very good drafts from both squads, and a very good, I want to talk about this before we even get into games, suite of ultimates here. Lots and lots of setup and stuns for this through time and space, because Fasheko's not going to be very safe getting deep king bombs that are killing people. He's going to go for probably those shallow multi-stun king bombs and then just let time and space clean up the damage while he gets to live, be safe, seismic crash. Same thing there. It's an Ashe ultimate. It's a big-ass stun, but it doesn't really do a lot of damage, and it needs something else. It needs some follow-up. I think if VP play this one, they have a slight edge for me, but Envy have an incredibly good draft as well.
Well, as we get into Game 6, Virtus.Pro is on set point, potentially handing Envy their first loss of the season. Let's send it down to your casters. Evan and Gore, have some fun.
Let's go. Get hyped. Game 6. And Virtus.Pro are on the verge of taking the set over Envy. We've talked about it now. Virtus.Pro, they've got to be about it. A pretty good lineup for sure, but not something to laugh at from Envy as well.
And one of the things that was mentioned on the desk that I think is going to play an important role is how Random Noob plays on this map and where he's going to be standing. Because if he's out in the open, Hekate's got him. And I think if he takes any of the windows, if he tries to kind of play and break the line of sight the way Nick was saying, I think Bomb King's got him. I think they have this Drogos potentially under wraps. It's going to be up to Envy to not only keep him safe, but for Random Noob to have a stellar performance to make sure that things go right.
And I believe he is playing Combustible here. We'll see just in a second, but he is. So he's going to get that damage and try to just poke around. Tells you what he's trying to do. Fasheko knows it. And he's just chilling over there. And nobody wants to really push quite yet, but no need to when you get the easy kills right there. Maybe just wasn't aware of the amount of damage Random Noob was outputting from that corridor. But Random Noob cannot peek, because if he does, look at that. He gets deleted. Hekate on Leon, just holding down that corridor. Who's going to take this approach towards the left or the right side? That's the key, because this is where things get a little testy. Both these teams now are just giving each other the space that they want and fighting on the point, but who's going to get aggressive?
I mean, they're trying their best. The unfortunate problem for Virtus.Pro is that there's two very aggressive, very high damage dealing front lines on Envy. And the downside for Envy is that they're both very damaging, but they're not the best point tanks when you want to dance around. Rubu is going to be dancing around the side right now. You have Fernando kind of filling that role, but they get pressured out pretty easily by a Barrack and Nara, so they're going to have to dance around that objective, and they have to hope for kills, but you can't lose Tulky.
They just did, and Fernando, he just can't survive against an Nara. They try to get that kill, but Puleuli with the rocket boots and the failsafe. He's going to stay alive. Fasheko finds a double, and now Rubu, he's going to be the third. Hekate getting in, and Virtus.Pro, they grab objective number 1 on Ice Mines.
But consolation prize, Rubu Rock Monkey kill off Hekate and Fasheko, which ordinarily I'd say, man, that's great. They just got to go back and spend that 300 credits. They got back literally
You're
just
exactly
in
right.
time to spend that money, plus the kills they got. So they're going to be coming in a little bit stronger. You see Hekate and Fasheko, Record 2 and Cauterize 2, already online.
Good healing, not enough to kind of go after it. I think they had a different idea of what they were after. And you know what? It wasn't even the Fernando. It was just the peel so that they could get Rock Monkey off of that. That's a big one to obviously take down. A lot of that damage from big game is really the thing that Inara's got to be worried about in this matchup. But as you can see, so much damage, so much poke. These corridors are just a blessing for Hekate, as the longer they are away from him, when that presence hits, the more damage it does.
He's trying to come around. Mr. Hayes, every time he poked his head out right there, Ule had his number. There's going to be an assert dominance into a dome shield. Not going to take any damage from him. Actually,
I don't know, man.
Not going to be able to get rid of the Barrack in the process. There it is, the kill on the Ule. I mean, two big ults really traded back and forth. Virtus.Pro, this is their moment. They have to break this choke.
The only thing I didn't really love in this fight, which everyone's doing a great job, it's so aggressive, but Fasheko's King Bomb there, I felt like maybe was a little bit mistimed, and what was the value gained, right? I mean, I know they don't want to fully wipe, but holding on to that could have been maybe the smarter play for him, but he's got 32% charge back. He feels confident. He's got that Luminary buff, doing more damage, more ultimate charge, etc., etc. 56 seconds left now, though. Cassie Scout available, as well as the Dragon Punch and the Immortal for Team Envy. Hecate barely getting that Enlightenment charge just now.
Ice Mines is one of the few maps, for anyone who doesn't see it as often, right? This is a map that for a long time was, no matter what skill level, the teams would go 3-3. Then it transitioned to, even if you are the quote-unquote worst team trying to equalize things and slow them down, you're losing 4-1, maybe 4-2 in a lot of these scenarios. I expect this one to go very back and forth, very blow for blow between these two teams, and it's mainly because this push has 3, really maybe even 4 kind of chokeholds. Even though 2 of them don't feel like chokeholds, every single corner on this push is just so awkward to get through, and you need someone like Hecate to make the big difference. Right now, they're getting the pressure.
And great Slither, he's trying to find something off of it. He knew they were going to go down, but has he done enough? I mean, he doesn't get the value off the Enlightenment reset, but he's given Fisheko all the room in the world to chase down Rock Monkey. He's playing Royal Subjects as well, so no chain reaction. But look at this, Rock Monkey clapping back. He's going to heal in the gourd. And so Fisheko is going to just say, all right, I made it out alive, so did you. You got the push going. Call this even for now.
And here's the hard thing. Now you're doing the rest of this push in overtime. Normally that's not a big deal, but coming down into the archway the payload is under right now, the base is open. They can see them all.
Yeah.
And the high ground is going to mostly be Envy's. Rubu trying to do whatever he can right here. Doesn't get the kill and actually loses
rocket
his
boots.
life.
And the ability to just use that rocket boots as well. He's going to go for the stun before he can hit the Inara, and that was a great idea from Fish. It just was not fast enough. He tried to get it off because although it wouldn't have stunned the Drogos, it would have done the damage to kill the Drogos. And so it would have allowed the Inara to continue pushing, and that's unfortunately not going to go his way. He now doesn't have the ultimate charge as well, but at least you've traded out with the Dragon Punch.
And I believe they pulled the Immortal at the very end there as well. I think part of the reason he ends up pulling back is no CC, like they're all CC immune. There's no reason for me to be here. And if they are able to take that down, and again, getting an ult for ult trade like that towards the end of the round, King Bomb's going to charge way faster.
It's true.
like you had mentioned it earlier, Bomb King, Luminary damage, as long as he hits 5, 6, 7, 8 bombs, he's going to be able to get this ult back no problem. So Envy, again, having to kind of refocus, and this is a team that can do it. They just spent 2.5, 3 minutes figuring out what can we do to change that.
And I like Luminary and Royal Subjects, especially on this map, but even as a concept, right? I mean, you're already hitting so hard. The chain reaction doesn't become irrelevant, but it's more of like, I'm doing the job of hitting that hard. And unlike when we saw Random Noob use it, the blast radius, the little poke that you get from the blast around these corners is that much more impactful. He's hitting for 374. Normally that might be like 200 or something. The ability to actually have that increased damage, it's a big deal.
And that Wrecker's going to play a big role. There's going to be the third time in space. It connects with Tulki. It keeps Random Noob locked down.
Wow.
But Random Noob still gets rid of Fisheko. Now zoned out by the Inara of all things. One more shot, one more kill. Dosups puts his name on the board.
He's not going to lose that one. Random Noob, you can be as good as you want. There's CC immunity and the wall trying to block off for Vex. Dosup's just going to try to run away, and Rubu's going to let him do so. He does have the shoulder bash to get in, but then he wouldn't really be able to get out, having used that defensive cooldown. 45% and counting for Virtus.Pro, but Envy now back in control.
It's a delicate dance. And unlike a normal dance, I feel like both of these teams are looking to try and step on the other's toes as much as they possibly can. And that's where those trade-offs come through, where it's like, cool, I kill off Tulki, you kill off Fisheko. We make the trade. It doesn't work out very well. Let's see what we can do. The Dragon Punch comes in.
That's whiffing. He's not hitting.
It's not connecting with anyone. But Rubu still gets a kill, so I guess it makes up.
And it does force them, you know, into that that place of, okay, we're getting aggressed on. We all have to clump up. But look at this damage, man. That shield comes up, and it can't come up a second later because they are ready for this. And they are just ready for the counter as well. A little bit of overcommittal there from both Fisheko and Hecate. Hecate doesn't get the cooldown on the Enlightenment, which I'm sure he would have wanted, but at least they get rid of the pesky front line.
Doing whatever they can to aggressing. Trade off Random Noob gets Puleole. Puleole gets Random Noob, making sure they have it. But the big thing for Virtus.Pro here, it's all that point capture, baby. It's that Inara just standing there. She is exactly where she wants to be. She's feeling at home. And unless something big comes through, Rubu's going to be back. Both front lines here for Envy. But they have to make a huge play to be able to displace this Inara and grab this point away.
Seismic Crash charging up 93% to 99. Virtus.Pro just have to step on that point. Immortal used up by Tulki, which we saw last round be the big key. And the through time and space is off. The Seismic Crash gets a stun, and it sets a couple things up for Hecate, but Mr. Hayes finds Fisheko there. Rubu trying to dance, but this dance is going the way of VP yet again. They look like they're going to capture the second objective unless Mr. Hayes can just 1v4. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, you don't have.
I mean, Damba's a good character, don't get me wrong.
Quadra kill Damba.
Imagine we casted that. That would have been the most incredible
I feel like
play
both
ever.
of us would immediately be like, all right, sorry guys, no second set today. We're going to retire
The
because
broadcast is
there's
ended.
literally
Yeah, yeah.
nothing better than this. You can just stop for the rest of your years.
You've seen peak Paladins. There's nothing else to look at. All right, you've already seen greatness. How can you look into the eyes of God and then look at Immortal Soul yet again? Good stuff, though. And again, Virtus.Pro, man, managing these fights so well. It's still round 2, and it's 9 minutes in. Just the beginning of the payload push. These fights have been lasting. And it's just been such an amazing game of chess between two master players here. The ability to appreciate what you're watching hopefully is not going, without awareness for all of you, because this is just wonderful Paladins.
And the thing I think that is remarkable about these two teams is Virtus.Pro looks to finally break through this chokehold. This time actually a lot earlier. This is going to be a big deal in a couple of minutes. Fasheko, triple kill, keeps himself happy. But you're looking at that timer, that minute 20, as long as they go through this push, is going to be what matters. But players, all mechanically skilled.
Yes.
Players, all adept at making the decisions in-game, changing things up, right? They know how to alter from game to game as well to make those transitions smooth that they need to in order to win a set. Both of these teams both have incredible coaches behind them as well. And that's the other thing is this is probably going to be a big impact behind the scenes that you don't get to see as often, where the thing that's going wrong from game 1 to game 2 to game 2 to game 3, like that stuff might not stick with the player in the moment as much as it is with the coaches just down the hall from us.
And I guess one of the questions I'll have looking back at this set is depending on how it goes, obviously, but the Drogos has been really good from Random Noob, but his Eevee was just as good as well, and they've kind of like committed to not going back to it. Now, obviously, this is not the best map for Eevee, but the commitment to Drogos outside of it, is it one of the things that have thrown this whole matchup for a loop?
And to me, it's the commitment to Drogos while giving up Leon.
Knowing
almost
Leon
every,
is there.
Every single matchup, I don't think I've seen Drogos and Leon. Like, I think there was one maybe early on in set, game 1, game 2. Feels like so long ago. But almost every single time I've seen Random Noob on Drogos, I've seen Hecate on Leon. It's like, not only is Leon going to be the hard counter, but it's Hecate. Like, he's not going to miss his shots unless he just doesn't see you up there. And most of the time, the call's going to be coming through to find you. So, Virtus.Pro, I feel like they're getting the better end, specifically in that one matchup, and that honestly can do enough to make or break the set.
Game face here. He knows. One more point, man, and we win this set. We beat Envy. This is so huge because, I mean, how many teams are going to beat Envy this year and this season? I mean, if you can get this win, the win no one expects you to get, that is just so good for your hopes and tiebreakers and things down the line, seeding. You got to try to close it out here. One more point on Ice Mines. There's the scout, so everyone knows on the side of Envy where they're at. Dragon Punch as well, just to keep Random Noob safe. They're going to grab Huli. And Virtus.Pro are going to back off.
That's exactly what you need. Make it a 4v5. You have comeback mechanics.
Oh my God, he got him!
Rock Monkey, though, and that's going to be big. That's going to be able to kind of equalize it.
Oh my God, Vex, what? What are you doing? How did he do it? Vex coming up big with a double kill onto both damage dealers for Envy. Now Tolkien responds in kind. Vex trying to get it. He gets the whole space hop, dude. No, Vex is out of his mind. 76 health and counting, and they get Rubu as well. Envy are 99% on the point, but Virtus.Pro have just fully wiped their entire team.
I mean, they're doing everything they can. Now the zone is going to be what opens up, and this, I mean, Vex is already on fire, but unfortunately for him, this isn't where it stops. You got to keep it up. 50% going to be here for Virtus.Pro. They need the zone to go well. The healing has to be there. The damage from Bomb King needs to be there.
Dread Serpent.
And they have to deal with Mr. Hayes. They have to deal with Tulki and Rubu at least one more time.
They've just got to isolate someone with a Dread Serpent. I think maybe going for the Leon, it's just not enough. They can't knock Barrack off. That's a beautiful stun. And Virtus.Pro, they win. They don't even get on the point. Oh my God, Virtus.Pro grab game 6. They grab the set. Vex pops off. And Envy have no words.
I mean, this is a new scenario for them. This is something that, I mean, they haven't experienced since Fall Split. Even then, Fall Split, they went undefeated. They had probably at this point almost a year since the last time they have taken a loss. Going to be a few more months, maybe about 9 months right now. A little pregnancy of no losses for them, but coming into this, not the team anyone expected, not the team in Na'Vi that has been a world champion before. Virtus.Pro getting exactly what they wanted when they made this team.
Whoa. I mean, I'm speechless, although I'm going to say some more things right now. I talked to Dosips, and he said that this team probably had the most potential, he thought, because it was a matter of having the awareness of the EU meta, the NA meta, the LATAM meta, but being able to bring it together, it's hard. You know, you need time to do that.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, all right, down the line, you know, in a few
Yeah, like
years. They're
week
like, no,
6.
what we meant is we need 6 days of constant 8-hour scrims to be able to beat Envy this week. And so apparently that's what happened. Virtus.Pro, they surprise us all, and they grab this set over Envy. Let's send it back to the desk.
And what a set number 1 it was. Virtus.Pro snagging their first win and sending Envy their first loss here in the Premier League. And Nick, that was a wild ending to that game. Vex coming up huge.
I mean, he won the game.
You were banging the desk. You wanted to flip it over.
I wanted to flip it. Not just because I just hate this desk, but I also wanted it. It was an incredible match. I wanted to flip it as well.
It was wild. It was fun to watch. Virtus.Pro winning 4 straight here
won
today.
The fight. What do you?
And take a win.
That might be like. That's got to be
what
like.
What more could he ask for?
Aside from the quadra kill that Garrett got with the laser, I mean, that was like a full display of the kit. One with the laser, one with the gun, the void grip out of the dash, sidestep it, jumps over it. I mean, that is one of the most incredible support plays I have ever seen in my life.
Stays alive with like 60 health. We're going to get a replay of it here. Trying to find the snipe.
That's one of them. And then that wasn't even the most incredible one, but I mean, he had such a good game. So many.
Oh,
this
nice.
is it. Hits both of them, takes one down with the gun, somehow gets chased down into the mines, sidesteps the little dash there from Rubu. I mean, it's just so much.
And yeah, he ends up living on the back end of this.
This is it, dude.
He has like 60
Yoink!
health.
What's up, dog? It's like a running back, dude.
Yeah.
It's like no Sean Moreno when he jumps that guy for the first time. I'm like, what? You just don't see that.
That was I mean, plain and simple. That's a single play that ends up winning the game. Right.
Yeah.
That wins the game for Virtus.Pro. And after a slow start,
I mean,
they come out hot today.
It's crazy.
They go down 0-2. It looks like Envy is poised to take it. And then Virtus.Pro, in a big way, not only grabs their first win, but just flips this series on its head. We'll take a quick look at the updated standings after this one. Virtus.Pro snagging themselves a win here. Moving themselves up 4 spots. Envy dropping down 1 due to map differential.
SSG still undefeated.
Navi. SSG, you can't lose if you don't play, and I think that's the season-long strategy that you have to look at.
NIP, the last undefeated team in the PPL, sitting at 3rd because of map differentials. At this point, the Premier League is just who wants it more.
Right.
Everyone has lost at
Absolutely.
this point except for NIP. They're up next. They might take an L to the Renegades. The Renegades have been looking really good at this point. Yeah. It's these teams for the first time on LAN every single week. They have the chance to get together to scrim as a team, as a unit. There's no excuses. There's no ping. There's no nothing anymore. It's just about who wants it more.
And they've shown up to this point that any given Thursday or Friday, any team can win. I mean, if you would have expected, I mean, we all expected a close one to start off the day, but the way, I mean, it was 6 games.
Frankly,
so it was
I
a
didn't.
Close one.
I didn't really, and then after the first 2 games, I'm like, okay, well, this will be about 45 minutes. We'll be out of this set,
and then
into the real set of the day here, which I think should have been the closer one coming into today. But now I'm completely lost. I don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, in a way, in the grand scheme of things, it has to make you excited for the next 10 weeks of what we have where anyone can win any given week. There's so much stuff to look at, so many different things to look at. We do have an interview standing by with the winners today, so let's send it on over to them and hear their thoughts.
Well, you're here. You've been able to come through. You find your first win, and against Envy, no less. This question is probably the one you've heard the most. But how does it feel to get that win? You just took down the world champs.
Yeah,
exactly.
We're literally shocked. Like, everyone that know us and this new roster, we're working so hard to step into this team and more against Envy. And personal, for me, like, always coming to LAN and failing against them, was just amazing. Like, as I said on the interview, I expect to win against every team, but do it, like, make it the reality. It's like, this is a big accomplishment for me. Like, I don't know, it's amazing.
Yeah, being able to adapt to the team, because I have been here only 1 week and I didn't expect to come as a sub, but we make it. We made it.
Yeah.
What an incredible moment for you guys. obviously it's one thing to think that it might happen. It's one thing to have it happen. We thought it would take a longer time for this team to mesh, you know, especially after the few weeks in your earlier games. Do you feel that you've gotten there? Do you feel like this is still just the beginning of what you guys can bring to the table?
I mean, after the loss, we had a meeting. We have been talking about different things and trying to see what was the problem, how we can fix it. Yeah, it works out. You mean, you know?
Yeah, but I totally agree on you. Like, it was really hard to break that barrier, you know, language difference, getting used to our own play style, different teams and everything. And we still think, like, we need to improve a lot. But, you know, after so many losses, even on the screens, we were learning and learning, like, let's talk, let's do this, let's do that. How can we improve as a team? And today, we just show it up. And having this feeling of, yo, you take that crown. You have the crown now. It's amazing.
Well, congratulations once again, guys. I mean, you just beat Envy. I'm sure you're feeling great, and that's going to be it for this interview. So thanks, everyone who watched. It was an amazing set. Again, thank you for the playing, but we're going to come back with another one right after this, NIP and Renegades, right after this break.
The Paladins Premier League, brought to you by Skillshot.